The Association of African Universities, AAU, Africa's apex higher education organization, invites stakeholders to its 15th quadrennial General Conference from 5th to the 8th of July 2021. The theme is the future of African higher education. The conference will be held virtually and hosted by the Government of Ghana and the 6 sub-teams as follows. Sub-team 1, the future of African higher education post-COVID-19. Sub-team 2, contributions of African higher education institutions to addressing the challenges linked to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sub-team 3, contributions of African higher education institutions in achieving sustainable development goals. Sub-team 4, funding of African higher education institutions in the face of unpredictable economy. Sub-team 5, mainstreaming e-learning and the digital divide. Sub-team 6, contributions of the diaspora to African higher education. Expected participants include ministries of higher education, academics, researchers and research organizations, regional economic communities, regional educational bodies like IUCEA, CAMES, and SARUWA, the organized private sector and captains of industry, development partners and other education stakeholders. The AAU's 15th Quadrennial General Conference is here. To register, kindly go to the link below, and for further enquiries, please visit the website www.event.aau.org/GenCon or send an email to secgen@aau.org and copy info@aau.org. AAU, the voice of higher education in Africa.
L'Association des universités africaines, AUA, l'organisation faîtière de l'enseignement supérieur en Afrique, invite toutes les parties prenantes à sa 15e conférence générale quadriennale qui se tiendra du 5 au 8 juillet 2021. Le thème de cette conférence est l'avenir de l'enseignement supérieur africain. La conférence se tiendra virtuellement et ce sera accueilli par le gouvernement du Ghana. Elle comprend les 6 sous-thèmes principaux suivants. Sous-thème 1, l'avenir de l'enseignement supérieur africain après la COVID-19. Sous-thème 2, contribution des établissements d'enseignement supérieur africains pour le relevé des défis liés à la pandémie COVID-19. Sous-thème 3, contribution des établissements d'enseignement supérieur africains à la réalisation des objectifs de développement durable. Sous-thème 4, financement des établissements d'enseignement supérieur africains face à une économie imprévisible. Sous-thème 5, intégration de l'apprentissage en ligne et de la fracture numérique. Sous-thème 6, contribution de la diaspora à l'enseignement supérieur africain. Les participants attendus comprenant entre autres les ministères de l'enseignement supérieur, des universitaires, les chercheurs et organismes de recherche en Afrique et au-delà, les organismes éducatifs régionaux comme la IUCEA, la CAMES, la SARUWA, le secteur privé organisé et les chefs d'industrie, les partenaires de développement, agences et organisations internationales et d'autres acteurs de l'éducation. La 15e conférence générale quadriennale de l'AUA est là. Pour vous inscrire et participer, veuillez visiter la tinyurl.com/AAUGC 2021 et pour plus d'informations sur la conférence, veuillez visiter le site web event.aau.org/GenCon ou envoyer un courriel à secgen@aau.org et copier info@aau.org. L'AUA, la voie de l'enseignement supérieur en Afrique.
Hello then, welcome to another educative episode of AAU Talks on AAU TV. We always say that we will inform to transform the African continent. I'm your host today, Ajimon Ochudako. You know, about a year ago, the blockchain program was introduced in Accra Technical University to educate the students and the general public about the power, the destructive power of technology, and also put the country in a position to train its youth to be a bridge of technology. Today, that dream has come to pass where we have members from the Hague University in collaboration, or members from the Accra Technical University in collaboration with the Hague University on how this dream or this promise is being real. Don't go anywhere, we're right back.
Are you an institution or individual? Do you intend to organize a memorable event to be archived for future reference? Then look no further than AAU Studios, because it's your best bet with our spacious studio and state-of-the-art media equipment such as 4K Panasonic video cameras, KinoFlow lights, assorted microphones, live streaming equipment, among others. You are sure to get the best of productions. Visit us at Trinity Avenue, East Legon, adjacent the National Accreditation Board, or contact the AAU Studios via the following email addresses: info@aau.org, AAUTV@aau.org, or ransford@aau.org. Alternatively, you can call us on +233 244 736280.
Welcome back, and if you just joined us, it is AAU Talks on AAU TV. I'm your host, Ajimon Ochudako, for today. And I have with me members from the Hague University and also the Accra Technical University. Theo Bosma from the Hague University. I also have Mr. Rene Dungio from the Hague University, and Mr. Frank Oponifrimpong from the Accra Technical University, and Dr. Philippe van Pijnbroek, also from the Hague University, and Dr. Ernest Wefo from the Accra Technical University. Nice people, your work collaboration. Africa seeks to engage in more collaborations with international universities, and then therefore ATU is one great news to hear. So we'll begin right away from how it happened. How did it happen with the Hague University and Accra Technical University from Dr. Ernest?
Thank you very much. I think we all bear witness to the fact that the velocity of change and the intensity call for collaboration.
Sure.
If universities and university and academic institutions are to remain relevant to the continent.
Sure.
For that reason, we looked for a strategic partner that will really help and impact on our delivery. And for that reason, we have Hague University, which we started collaboration about 4 or 5 years, and moving from one step to another. And today we are here, and they are to help and guide us to be able to match the velocity of change in the education industry.
Great. Let me do a quick switch to Prof. Dr. Bosma.
Thank you.
What is the purpose of your visit to Africa per se, and also to the Accra Technical University?
Right. Well, actually, when you introduced the program, you said something about making an impact. And I think we started with Accra at a first level partnership. And I'm very happy to say that yesterday we agreed on the strategic partnership.
Sure.
And strategic partnerships are very important for us. And actually, we look for people who have the same heart. And basically what we have together is make an impact on students here in Ghana and make sure that whenever they graduate,
Sure.
they have the best tools, they have the knowledge in order to become very young, successful professionals.
Great.
This is what we call like a match made in heaven.
That's amazing. So let me go to Mr. Rene about the concept idea that will make our viewers understand why we're having this show on the issue of blockchain. What is the power of blockchain here?
Now, the power of blockchain is to share information. We started with this company called Koios, which actually we believe education should be free and accessible to anyone. So going back to blockchain, blockchain is a technology that assures transfer of value. And value could be money, could be identification, certification. I'm going to give you an example. Here in Ghana, there's a problem with land registration. People are fighting all the time. Suppose we were to use that technology and then to assure that the piece of land that is sold is certified, and then no one can claim, no one else can claim it. So this blockchain actually assure that transparency and that trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the benefit for the students who engage themselves in this training?
Very good. So one of our mission is, as I said, education should be free and accessible to anyone. I came from a poor family where you could study is expensive, and also in Ghana, only rich parents can afford to pay the tuition fee. But what about if we create a platform where you don't have to pay anything? There are many other platforms that provide, the MOOC, what we call MOOC, massive online learning platforms, right? We're different because our platform is totally free of charge. You can study any course you want. We started with blockchain. We're going to move on to many other courses, could be finance, accounting. It is totally free. So that's the power of blockchain. Now, someone will say, you don't need blockchain for that. But when it comes to certification, that's where blockchain comes, to assure the transparency and the trust of the certification.
Great. Let's move to Mr. Frank. You know, the sound of blockchain sounds so fascinating to the African continent, but the question is, are there any practical things going on with our industries in Africa, particularly in Ghana?
Yeah, thanks very much. Blockchain is highly disruptive, part of the fourth industrial revolution, key aspects, which is taking the globe by storm.
Sure.
In Africa, I have examples. For example, when you go to Kenya, we have this mobile, how they call it, money called M-Pesa.
M-Pesa.
But then it also graduated to the BitPesa.
Sure.
Okay, which facilitates transactions. Huge volumes of transactions don't need to go through documentation. Is that okay?
Sure.
At the global level, key giants in ICT, IBM, Microsoft, Accenture, all of these are into blockchain. There's a big hype around it, but we need to see the bigger picture and what it's doing. And Africa needs to tap into it. You come into Ghana, we have corporate entities like Stanbic Bank, Vodafone. They're all trying to experiment with blockchain technology. It's at the nascent stage. But with time, the big picture is that it's going to deliver a lot.
Okay.
So talk about areas where we can apply it: finance, land title registration, agriculture, education, security, very important. Dubai, by 2020, wants to go fully blockchain. Government transactions are going on the blockchain so that it will be open. And Dubai is saving about $3 billion yearly from the application of blockchain. Why can't we take advantage of that? And so we need to take off from that. We want to be the strategic player in academia, and with the partnership from Hague, I think there's a lot that we can do.
Right, a lot. I can see that. So, Dr. Van, let's talk about the kind of collaboration we're looking at having here with the ATU. What kind of collaboration is going on here?
Well, actually, my students in Holland have access to arguably the best higher education system in the world. And upon graduation, basically they have a very bright future. And we would like to offer this bright future also to the local Ghanaian students. Like my colleague already said, it is very important that education is not a privilege of the rich. It is a basic right for basically everyone. So what we would like to do now is to develop and to deliver education together with ATU. My university is a pioneer in the field of blockchain. And it is an incredible opportunity for us to share this knowledge, this expertise with ATU, such that their students will become the agents of change in the future. They can help Africa to make the transformation to the new circular economy. And I think this is a very good opportunity for both of our universities.
Great. So what do you expect out of this collaboration with ATU?
Well, for me, it is very important that we can share our knowledge, we can share our expertise, and not only that we come here and we will do the education. Now we also want to become a strategic partner, such that the lecturers, the professors, the researchers here at ATU, they will gain the same level of expertise as my researchers in Holland, so that they can independently also contribute to the development of blockchain.
Great.
Mr. John, to add to it,
sure.
Currently they are having the blockchain run in Hague. And Accra Technical University is also going to start running programming blockchain.
Sure.
What we want to also do is we are trying to let the students from Hague and Accra Technical University, we are going to bring them together and they'll be working on similar projects. So we expect a lot to come from it. Right. That synergy, the students learning the culture from there, learning the techniques from there, and I think it will go a long way to help Africa. Right. If you look at the blockchain countries that really are using the technology, you see Africa is totally black. This blockchain is just coming like the way internet came. And when internet was coming, Africa was lost out. It is now that we are trying to even catch up with internet. And it's really very difficult. Blockchain is the new one that is coming. Sure. So if we do not accept a move with it, by the time we realize Africa is out. Most of the times we mention blockchain, I try to talk to students with blockchain, they always bring about the negative aspect. Say blockchain, the Bitcoin, somebody is going to do all sorts of things. I remember the very first year, last 2 years, somebody came and he instantly wanted to register students. And that was wrong. For everything that is good, you have people coming to be smart. So most people in Africa look at blockchain, link, and Bitcoin in a negative aspect, but there are a lot of positive aspects. Okay. And that is what we...
Sure. If you just joined us, African AA Talks on the TV, and we're discussing blockchain technology and how it can impact the youth of Africa. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back about this talk.
Egypt is well known for ancient culture and rich heritage. But its rapidly growing population presents a challenge: how to provide enough jobs for those entering the workforce. One way Egypt is addressing this situation is by encouraging more entrepreneurship. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has challenged young people to become part of this solution. In response, many of Egypt's educational institutions have launched entrepreneurial training programs. Alexandria University is a great example of this.
Welcome back on AU Talks, and we were talking about blockchain technology before we went for the pause, and let's come back to Mr. Rene. You look so good in your t-shirt saying Koyos. What is it about?
Yeah, as I said already, Koyos is a platform where we intend to open up the education. We're not here to disrupt the education. We're here to facilitate, to make the education better, accessible to anyone, everywhere, customize your learning. Suppose you're from Tamale and you want to follow a course at Accra Technical University, in this case, blockchain, but you don't have to travel to Accra for that. Staying at Tamale just with your tablet or your mobile phone, you can access all the information online and for free.
You know, there's a lot of continent out there. You chose Africa and Ghana. Why?
Look, I'm from Africa.
Exactly.
My heart is here.
Sure.
And I know I've been through many things, trying to learn, to get the education. It's never been easy. And then having this technology that's going to change life of millions of people, I'm always very excited, very emotional when I'm talking about this. So why Africa, why Ghana? I came here 2 years ago, and I noticed that many kids were not able to access the education. And then we started with Mr. Winfo brainstorming about how we can use the technology to make this better. And then we're happy that it's realizing. We came here to deliver the promise that we promised 2 years ago.
Great. Mr. Frank, currently in Ghana, are there some industries in Ghana who are living up to the prospect of blockchain?
Okay, like I said early on, we have industry players coming from real estate, and then we also have the financial aspects. Okay, but it seems like looking at what's going on, the real estate has very good promise. Okay. Acquiring land for developmental purposes, you know, is a serious problem because land ownership is full of litigation. But when you have a system that is basically open, the blockchain, we have what we call the private blockchain and then the public blockchain. Is that okay? We have to, as a country, to take advantage of either the private or the public or even the hybrid. And so if you have land registry or ownership being registered on the blockchain with immutability, transparency, then we can trace ownership, the benefits. If you want to get a mortgage with a bank, easy for them to get you a loan. Is that okay? If you want to start any business development activity in Ghana, and land ownership is very clear, then very rarely you can also start. At the international level, we have international development, and we have donor partners. But one key problem we have has been corruption. So the money is coming in the countries where the money is going. But we have examples where the World Food Program has been able to deliver food to refugees. The beneficiaries actually got the money. What the blockchain does is to digitize, for example, the dollar in the form of tokens. So it eliminates all intermediaries, and cost comes down seriously. So if we can implement some of these things in Ghana, actually we are going to be the better for it. Talk about supply chains. We can take advantage, and then supply chain and logistics can also go very well for Ghana. Okay. But for land, we have some companies starting. We have, for example, Bitland Ghana is in this system. We have had IBM also come in. But Bitland is starting in Kumasi, and people are registering their land. So it's on a pilot basis, but overall we hope that it's going to be replicated in most other regions in Ghana.
Great, splendid.
Right.
So at this moment, I'll pick your final words, and let's see if there are further prospect that we should know, or the world should know.
Thank you. On the 27th of this month, that's February, we are having a big program in Accra Technical University on blockchain.
Okay.
And the main aim is to invite business players or partners, and also make students available. This business people from the industry are really coming to tell us the practical problems that they face in the industry. For example, we are expecting Ministry of Agri to come.
Great.
And they will be telling us about planting for food, the government's agenda, and all those things. And as they tell us the story, the students or the audience will be mostly students, will be listening to the challenges. And then at the end of it all, we expect the students, we'll group them into groups of 4 or 5, and then they'll be using the knowledge of blockchain to address these challenges. We don't want a situation where students will just go and sit somewhere and frame a problem and then use blockchain and do it, or frame a project, a topic, and then try to do it. We want live problems.
Okay.
So 27th, you are inviting industry players. Come tell us some of your problems. We have people around, and then the student pick the problems. We have experts who are going to guide the students throughout. We are going to link some of these students also to partner students in HIC University together to see how they will successfully come out with a solution to some of the problems.
Great.
Then there will be, after 4 months' time, we expect the successful group to make the presentation, and at the end of it all, we'll see what happens.
Great.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Van, what should we expect?
Well, basically, I'm very excited that I was here to bring my researchers and my lecturers, and they can work together with the counterparts here at ATU, and they can inspire the students. Yesterday, we had our first kickoff, and I can see that the students are very interested. And we have a very special way of teaching. We think it's very important that we start with the context, with the practical implications, business solutions, business problems, and then students will look for a real life solution. And I'm really excited, looking forward to see how all these very bright students in ATU will come up with nice solutions for our companies.
Great. Mr. Frank, any words, the last words?
Yeah, I think that blockchain is highly disruptive, and we can't stay behind. Africa has got to be shown up when it comes to the radar pointing to countries which are using it. So come 27th, we're going to roll out what the expectations should be for key stakeholders, for students, researchers, government, industry players who are coming together. We see how we can take advantage of this highly disruptive technology.
Great.
So I think that we should all come and then see how practically we can roll out the blockchain program.
Great. Right. Mr. Rene?
Yeah, I would like to invite you all to visit our website, koyos.online, to already get access to our staff there. And then we invite you all to this event on the 27th so you're welcome.
Great. Prof. Bosma.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm responsible for internationalization, and I can already say that this trip has been a quite a success. I mean, we have closed agreements with the right people. We have talked also with AAU this morning, and we discovered that we have a lot of synergies.
Right.
And actually, we invited AAU also to participate in a key role in our African Summit in The Hague in the Netherlands. And from there on, we can see how many more agreements we can have. And for the viewers, actually, if you want to participate in the African Forum, let AAU know, and then we can send you an invitation as well.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank
Come
you.
to the show. Thank you very much for watching and sending your comments to this program. It's all about blockchain, and on the 7th February, it's happening live at the Accra Technical University. Is how students come together to exhibit their skills in blockchain. It will be nice. Thank you very much for your time. My name was Ajay Mwachudak on AU Talks. We will inform to transform. Keep watching AUTV, and bye.
Are you an institution or individual? Do you intend to organize a memorable event to be archived for future reference? Then look no further than AAU Studios, because it's your best bet with our spacious studio and state-of-the-art media equipment such as 4K Panasonic video cameras, KinoFlow lights, assorted microphones, live streaming equipment, among others. You are sure to get the best of productions. Visit us at Trinity Avenue, East Legon, adjacent the National Accreditation Board, or contact the AAU Studios via the following email addresses: info@aau.org, AAUTV@aau.org, or ransford@aau.org. Alternatively, you can call us on +233 244 736280.
Good day, Africa. This is Event Update on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. Event Update is all about information on upcoming higher education events and scholarship opportunities in Africa. And it is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. My name is Isabella Teta Hinakwa.
Masa Imelda Amuji.
The Continental Education Strategy for Africa Higher Education Series is inviting proposals from African and diaspora academics, scholars, recent graduates, and development practitioners for original essays to contribute to this volume on research and graduate studies in African higher education system. The topic should be one of these: Introduction, Research and Graduate Studies in Post-Pandemic Africa. Building research collaboration, cooperation and networking in Africa. Future of research funding in Africa. Governance and capacity building for graduate studies in African universities. Research for ICT development in Africa. Africa's research needs and challenges of doing research in Africa, and many more. The series seeks to systematically develop evidence-based information through a comprehensive framework of collaborative scholarly and professional participation with clear consequences for strategy, dialogue, and actions from a continental viewpoint, driven by the African Union's Agenda 2063 Blueprint Compass. Proposals should include 200 words abstract focused on the chosen topic, a 2-page outline of the chapter, and description of what you will cover, a recent CV that clearly indicates your country of origin and residence, and the list of your main publications. Interested authors are to submit their proposal before 20th April 2021, and for more information, email cesarresearchbook@gmail.com.
La Continental Education Strategy for Africa Higher Education Series invite les propositions des universitaires africains et diasporiens, des universitaires, des diplômés récents et des participants du développement pour des saisies originaux afin de contribuer à ce volume sur la recherche et les études supérieures dans le système d'enseignement supérieur en Afrique. Le sujet devrait en être une introduction, recherche et études supérieures en Afrique post-pandémique, bâtir la collaboration, la coopération et la mise en réseau de la recherche en Afrique, l'avenir du financement de la recherche en Afrique et aussi la gouvernance et renforcement des capacités pour les études supérieures dans les universités africaines. Recherche pour le développement des TIC en Afrique et aussi besoin de recherche en Afrique et défis de faire de la recherche en Afrique et bien d'autres. La série vise à développer systématiquement des informations factuelles à travers un cadre complet de participation universitaire et professionnelle, collaborative avec des conséquences claires pour la stratégie, le dialogue et les actions d'un point de vue continental, piloté par la boussole imprimée de l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine. Les propositions doivent inclure un résumé de 200 mots axés sur le sujet choisi, un aperçu de 2 pages de chapitre et une description de ce que vous couvriez. Un CV récent qui indique clairement votre pays d'origine et de la résidence et répertoire vos publications principales. Les auteurs intéressés doivent soumettre leurs propositions avant le 20 avril 2021. Pour plus d'informations par email, envoyez à cesarresearchbook@gmail.com.
The Rotary Peace Fellowship is pleased to announce that application for the fully funded fellowship is open for dedicated leaders from around the world to study as one of their peace centers. The Rotary Peace Centers program strengthens the potential of peace and development professionals or practitioners through academic preparation, practice, and global networking opportunities to become skilled and successful catalysts for peace. Interested candidates must be proficient in English, have a bachelor's degree, a strong commitment to cross-cultural understanding, potential for leadership, and must have at least 3 years of full-time work experience in peace or development. Applicants are to submit their online application to the Rotary Foundation before 15th May 2021. Visit www.rotary.org for more information.
Rotary Peace Fellowship est heureuse d'annoncer que la demande de bourse entièrement financée est ouverte aux dirigeants dévoués du monde entier pour étudier dans l'un de leurs centres de paix. Le programme des centres de paix rotatifs renforce le potentiel des professionnels ou des participants de la paix et du développement grâce à la préparation académique, à la pratique et aux opportunités de réseautage mondial pour devenir des catalyseurs qualifiés et efficaces pour la paix. Les candidats intéressés doivent être compétents en anglais, avoir un baccalauréat, un engagement fort envers la compréhension interculturelle, un potentiel de leadership et doit avoir au moins 3 ans d'expérience de travail à temps plein en paix ou en développement. Les candidats doivent soumettre leur candidature en ligne à la Fondation rotative avant le 15 mai 2021. Visitez le www.rotary.org pour plus d'informations.
Applications for the World Bank Robert McNamara Fellowship Program, RSMFP, is open to inspire development economics researchers from developing countries with World Bank research economists creating unique opportunities for the fellows to participate in rigorous policy-relevant research. Applicants will have a unique opportunity to widen their perspective on potential development questions and how their research can address challenges in the developing countries. To be eligible, applicants must be nationals of World Bank WBG member countries, graduates of MA-level studies, not more than 35 years of age, and must be available to relocate to Washington, D.C. for the duration of the fellowship. Interested applicants should submit a resume, statement of purpose in PDF file, contact of at least one academic reference, and writing sample. This application is open till 30th April 2021. And for more information, email rsm_fellowships@worldbank.org.
Les candidatures au programme de bourse Robert M.C. Namara de la Banque mondiale sont ouvertes pour inspirer les chercheurs en économie du développement des pays et développement, les économistes de la recherche de la Banque mondiale, créant des opportunités uniques pour les boursiers de participer à des recherches rigoureuses, pertinentes pour les politiques. Les candidats auront une occasion unique d'élargir leur point de vue sur les questions de développement potentiel et comment leurs recherches peuvent relever des défis dans le monde en développement. Pour être éligibles, les candidats doivent être des ressortissants des pays membres du GBM, de la Banque mondiale, des diplômés des études du niveau MA, âgés de plus de 35 ans et doivent être disponibles pour déménager à Washington, D.C. pendant la durée de la bourse. Les candidats intéressés doivent soumettre un curriculum vitae, une déclaration d'intention dans un fichier PDF, un contact avec au moins une référence académique et un échantillon écrit. L'application est ouverte jusqu'au 30 avril 2021 et pour plus d'informations, par email envoyé à rsm_fellowships@worldbank.org.
The World Conference on Research in Teaching and Education is calling for paper for the third World Conference on Research in Teaching and Education, which is scheduled from 23rd to 25th April 2021. This conference seeks to provide an international platform for the academicians, researchers, managers, industrial participants, and students to share their research findings with global experts. Interested authors are to submit their paper online via www.worldte.org/online submission. And for more information, contact info@worldte.org or visit www.worldte.org.
La conférence mondiale sur la recherche dans l'enseignement et l'éducation appelle à un document pour la 3e conférence mondiale sur la recherche dans l'enseignement et l'éducation qui est prévue du 23 au 25 avril 2021. Cette conférence vise à fournir une plateforme internationale aux académiciens, chercheurs, gestionnaires, participants industriels et étudiants pour partager leurs recherches avec des experts mondiaux. Les auteurs intéressés doivent soumettre leur article en ligne via www.worldte.org/online submission. Pour plus d'informations, contactez info@worldte.org ou visitez le www.worldte.org.
Applications for the Mandela Rhodes Foundation MRF Postgraduate Scholarships 2022 is open for young Africans to study in South Africa. The foundation offers young leaders from across the African continent a chance to become part of Nelson Mandela's legacy of transformative impact. It also provides a once-in-a-lifetime platform for professional advancement through a coveted postgraduate scholarship and leadership development initiative for those who wish to use their talents to help Africa. Interested scholars should be between the ages of 20 and 29, citizen of any African country, and have a first degree with above average academic results. Applicants should apply online and upload needed documents, essays, and recommendation letters before 20th April 2021. Visit www.mandelarhodes.org/scholarship for more information.
Candidature à la bourse d'études supérieures 2021 de la Fondation Mandela Rhodes pour les jeunes Africains à étudier en Afrique du Sud. La Fondation offre aux jeunes leaders de tout le continent africain une chance de faire partir de l'héritage d'impact transformateur de Nelson Mandela. Il fournit également une plateforme unique pour l'avancement professionnel grâce à une initiative convoitée de bourses d'études supérieures et de la développement du leadership pour ceux qui souhaitent utiliser leurs talents pour aider l'Afrique. Les universitaires intéressés devraient être âgés de 20 à 29 ans, citoyens de tous les pays africains et avoir un premier diplôme avec le résultat académique supérieur à la moyenne. Les candidats doivent postuler en ligne et télécharger les documents, essais et lettres de recommandation nécessaires avant le 20 avril 2021. Visitez le www.mandelarose.org/scholarships pour plus d'informations.
That is all for today's update. Events Update is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. Please follow us on our social media platforms at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, AAUTV_African Universities on Twitter, and AAU Official on Instagram. You can also visit our dedicated website at tv.aau.org for more of Events Update. My name is Isabella Tisahinakwa.
Je suis Imelda Amouji.
It's another week and we are bringing you another exciting episode of the CGC show on AAUTV. AAUTV is the voice of higher education in Africa. We are coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana, and the show is proudly brought to you by the Association of African Universities. Do follow us on our social media handles at AA_TV on Twitter, Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and at AAUTV Official on Instagram. My name is Aja Omi and I am your host. Today we'll be discussing teaching as a career, and my guest is here to delve into the issue to talk more about teaching and what to do to become a teacher. I'll introduce him after the break. Stay tuned.
Are you an institution or individual? Do you intend to organize a memorable event to be archived for future reference? Then look no further than AAU Studios, because it's your best bet with our spacious studio and state-of-the-art media equipment such as 4K Panasonic video cameras, KinoFlow lights, assorted microphones, live streaming equipment, among others. You are sure to get the best of productions. Visit us at Trinity Avenue, East Legon, adjacent the National Accreditation Board, or contact the AAU Studios via the following email addresses: info@aau.org, AAUTV@aau.org, or ransford@aau.org. Alternatively, you can call us on +233 244 736280.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, we are watching the CUC show on AAUTV. And like I said earlier, we will be discussing teaching as a career. And my guest is in the person of Mr. Daniel Chifoko, who is a very well experienced and trained teacher and is here to tell us how to become a teacher and address some of the challenges and also the benefits of being a teacher. Welcome on the show, Mr. Daniel Chifoko. AKA Wanzani, actually.
Yeah.
I forgot to add that. Tell us, what's really is the reason or the brain behind Wanzani? How did it come about?
Yeah, well, Wanzani is a nickname, as we used to say.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So I actually went to teach in a school, a private school. I think that is Blessed Generation, somewhere along Kaswa Highway. Okay, so then I was told there had been a teacher, okay, a Muslim, I'm told, who used to beat the children in a particular style. I didn't meet this man anyway.
Okay.
But then when I went there, per the way I also handled the children in whipping, they said I was whipping like Wanzam. The man was actually called Wanzam. Okay. Wanzam Baba. Ah. Okay, so so that's how come the name Wanzani. So wow. I later left that place and came to teach at Redeemer Academy, another school in the area. And then a student who was at the former school came down to meet me in the new school. And in the pronouncing of the name, she said Wanzani instead of Wanzam. Okay, so you know little children. Then the younger ones also called me. And Wanzani. When they did that, I also responded, yeah. So it became funny. And they used to call me that. I do respond also. That has become really a popular name.
Yeah, even more than your real name, because a lot of, when you go to a lot of schools, like I mean the schools that you've taught there, they always mention Wanzani.
Yeah.
If you mention Mr. Daniel Chipoko,
no.
Most of them.
A lot of them, a lot of people, even now my very close relatives call me Wanzani. It was a surprise when my dad called me Wanzani last time, just yesterday on phone. I said, wow, as Wanzani got to that extent.
Of course.
Yeah, so that is Wanzani. It was actually Wanzam. That became, Wanzani, yeah.
Wow. Well, it clearly shows how impactful you have been to a lot of students and, of course, people around you.
Perhaps,
I would like to know what exactly about teaching drew you to the profession.
Well, for teaching, at the start, I didn't actually choose teaching as a career. Okay.
Just like
all I realized was that I became a teacher. Okay. So if I want to think of what actually drew me into the teaching profession, I don't know what to talk about. But I became a teacher. And perhaps I think that has become the issue because when I was very young, I loved to lead people. Okay, and when my teachers were teaching, I loved the way they used to handle the class. So any little opportunity I got to be with my people at the absence of teachers, I quickly went to the front and did as if I was teaching. Okay, I also loved to help them to do their works and that kind of thing. So maybe in so doing, I realized that the teaching skill is in me. Yes, but I didn't grow up to choose teaching as a career, no. And I only realized I was in the field.
So at what point did you decide that, okay, I've been doing this for quite a while now, let me get some training, maybe school, and then become a teacher? At what point in your life did you decide to do that?
So that was not too long ago, around 2010, 2012, thereabout. Okay, when I was actually teaching the private school. So I was there and I tried to choose other patterns of career to myself. I remember I once went into journalism school. Okay, I wanted to become a journalist, just like you are. Okay, so I went there, I finished, I completed the program, I was given my certificate. I thought I was going to be a journalist and be interviewing people and all that. But I realized that after I completed, I went back to the classroom unconsciously. I didn't know, but all I realized was that I was already in the class again. Then at a point, I wanted to become a banker, okay, also. So I went to a business school. I remember around Sakama Junction, there was a school. ABE was the course I went to do, Advanced in Business Executives. So it was to be part 1, part 2, part 3. And after I completed the part 1, I didn't get the pull to go into it again. Then I came back to the classroom again. So that came to make me realize that, well, anytime I go out, I come back. Then why don't I find myself something doing really in the field as a professional teacher. That was when I went to enroll myself. Yeah, so it was then perhaps when I saw that I was supposed to be a teacher by profession. So I went to the college 2012. And in 2014, I graduated as a professional teacher. Yeah, that was when I really now became a teacher.
Yeah. How has the experience been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. It's been positive. I mean, if it isn't good, I don't think I'll get the pull to go back anytime I tried doing something different. Yeah, it's been positive.
You see some of the people that you've trained and you get so excited.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
See, that is one of the things about teaching that you would love to do. Okay, so you see students that have passed through your hands. I mean, students you have trained and they have become big people.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember speaking with one of my former students. I handled him, I counseled him. He was like a friend or a brother to me. And not long ago, he called me, and I visited him in his office around Tema Community 8. Okay, so speaking with this boy, he became so big. Okay, he is into estate management.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so as I speak, he has got himself an estate company. He has newly registered. Okay, so he's doing so well. And that inspires me. If I see my students doing so well, I don't want to say you, but if I see people like you doing so well, then I become really happy. And you know, when talking with the boy in the office, now he's no more a boy, he's a man, or a young man now. One Samson Ochiri, if I should mention his name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so talking to him, he told a friend I went with that all he has become, he knows I personally contributed into about 40% of what he has become.
Great.
And that is a really big thing to hear.
Yeah.
My nerves grew up immediately, my head swollen up, hearing that what somebody has become, I alone contributed 40% of that. And I believe, I told him I was coming here, so I believe you'll be watching the program, or anytime you play this program. Okay, so those are the things that you see and you get very happy. That you have trained students, they have come up big and they are doing well in whatever endeavor.
You are still a teacher and you are currently schooling people on the basic education certificate exams that is yet for them to write. I know you are still teaching them and all of that. How has COVID-19 impacted your sector?
Yes, COVID-19, in fact, it's a new pattern of disease.
Oh, of course.
And I think even the scientists are not sure of some of the things they have told us. Because sometimes they tell us some things and later they adapt to it. For example, before they said it was not airborne, and later they said it is airborne. Okay, so themselves are not sure. And that is how dicey it is to handle COVID-19. Of course, that has influenced the breakdown we had in Ghana. And students went to sit at home for a long while. They came back. And as young as they are, they easily forget some things they learned.
Yeah.
Okay, so when school eventually reopened for the GHS 3s to come back, we saw that there has been a big drop in change. Most of them couldn't remember common things they used to say or do. And so COVID-19 has really affected their study, but we are trying to handle it. Yeah, sometimes, you know, this is a disease that one cannot choose how special he wants to handle it.
Of course.
You just have to follow what perhaps the World Health Organization and Ghana Education Service has prescribed. So we also follow same system, and we are doing quite well. There has not been any case so far
in your school,
in my school, and I think God is on our side.
Let's come down to the teaching as a profession, the teaching as a career. What do you think makes a teacher a good teacher?
Okay, so for one to become a good teacher, the one first of all must be disciplined. Okay, so if you are disciplined, that means you are a leader. and you can have followers you will call disciples.
Yeah.
Okay, so as in the case of Jesus
Christ,
he was disciplined, he trained people, and we call those people disciples. The disciples, who literally means followers. So that is how a teacher is supposed to be. For one to become a teacher or a good teacher, the one must be disciplined. And this word disciplined entails a lot. Yeah, so if you are disciplined in all things you do, or most of the things you do, then perhaps you are qualified to be a teacher.
And what are some of the courses? How does one get into the teacher training college?
Yeah, so just like many other services, the teacher, somebody who aspires to become a teacher will have to get a required, expected passes. Okay, you don't have to get poorer than D in any of your best 2 electives and your core subjects from the secondary school.
What are even some of the courses from the basic level? What are some of the courses that students who would want to become teachers in the near future should focus on mainly from the basic level?
Okay, so you see, if you ask that, I would say all the courses or all subjects, because you want to become a teacher, and a teacher is someone who should have a broad knowledge over many things or all fields of study. So one will have to study well almost all the subjects at the basic level. But we have those we call the core subjects. So the English, mathematics, social studies, and science. Now we don't have general science, we have the integrated science. Okay, so these 4 are basically the core subjects that anybody who wants to become a teacher should study, even at the basic level. And you realize that a subject like English, I used to tell my students, even mathematics is set in English language. Okay, so English is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And mathematics as well is everywhere too. Even the English language is calculated because it has to do with formulas. Okay, so a subject like English and mathematics, you can't go without them. And coming down, social studies, science, yes, they are also very important. But aside those 4, one will have to learn every subject on the field.
So back to the courses that you need to study.
Yeah, so if you want to become a teacher and at the secondary level, yes, there as well you have to study all the courses because it depends on what actually one wants to teach. Okay, if I want to become a teacher in the secondary school, for example, then I should ask myself, which subject will I want to teach at the secondary school? And that will determine which subjects I should study very hard. But we have the basic subjects that one will have to study all of them. So we have the general ones and the specialized subjects. So the general ones, like I mentioned, social studies, science, English, mathematics, they are general subjects that everybody will have to study. Then you choose a particular pattern. For example, language. So either English language or Ghanaian language, maybe Ga or Chi or Ewe, then you choose. So at the training college, it is still the same pattern.
But aside the training colleges, you know, in our tertiary education, like the universities, we have bachelor in education, bachelor of education in probably social studies, bachelor of education in mathematics. So those ones, they specialize in how to teach mathematics or
they are specialized in those areas. So like I mentioned, there are core subjects that every teacher will have to study. Then you specialize in a particular area. For example, if you go to the university, for example, mathematics, so you go and major in mathematics. But whilst you major in mathematics, you still will have to study the core subjects, and English is no exception. Okay. Yeah, so that is it. But at the basic level, from nursery, let me say from class 1 up to JHS3 is considered the basic level of education. Okay. And that one at the training college, especially, I actually did diploma in basic education. Okay, so you study all those subjects on the field. It is not optional. You just have to study all. But if you want to major in one, then you have to go to university to make a top-up, which we usually call the post-diploma degree, post-D. Then there you can major. Some can also move from the basic level and go to top-up with secondary school education. Yeah, that is how it is.
I have so many questions for you, actually. So I would want us to go for a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about teaching as a career. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Are you a fresh graduate from senior high school or a mature applicant? Thinking of a university to enroll in Ghana? Is it possible to get a university of high moral and discipline standard? Then look no further than the Presbyterian University College Ghana, where we believe in holistic education. We train the head, heart, and hands. We are a Christian university accredited by the National Accreditation Board Ghana and affiliated to the University of Ghana, Legon, KNUST, and University of Cape Coast. We offer instant employable programs such as physician assistantship, nursing, mathematics, rural and community development, environmental and natural resource management, business administration, social studies, business studies, information and communication technology, business economics, agribusiness, with experienced, innovative and disciplined lecturers to take care of students' needs in a conducive environment. Our campuses are located at Okuru Abetifi, Ekuapem Ekuropong, Asante Achin, Tema, and Kumasi. Wondering how to apply to the school? It's simple. You should have an entry requirement of WASSCE A1 to C6, SSSCE A to D, HND holder, GBC, and ABC holder. Mature applicants should be 25 years and above. Apply by purchasing an e-voucher at 100 Ghana Cedi from the following banks: Agricultural Development Bank, GCB Bank, EcoBank, HFC Bank, Prudential Bank, Unibank, Universal Merchant Bank, and Fidelity. Buy forms using Visa or MTN mobile money by visiting the school's website at www.presbyuniversity.edu.gh. Application forms may also be obtained at all college campuses, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana head office, Osukoku Hill, and all PCG offices throughout the country. Now you can walk confidently in the job market thanks to Presbyterian University College Ghana. Call us or visit our website for more info.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, you are watching the CGC show on AUTV, and we have been discussing teaching as a career. My guest, Mr. Daniel Chipoko, has talked about some of the courses and subjects that you need to take seriously if you want to become a teacher, and he's also talked about some of the qualities of a good teacher. I would want you to tell me what are some of the challenges you believe every teacher faces all across Africa?
Okay, so for challenges, there are many, but if we want to talk about general challenges that every teacher faces, perhaps it will have to do with how students respond to the teaching. And how parents take teaching to be. Okay, the contribution of parents into teaching and how students perceive the teaching to be. That is a real challenge for almost every teacher.
Can you elaborate?
So what I want to talk about here is that you, for example, give assignment to a student whom you would want to go to study, work it and bring to you for marking so that you can assess and tell if the student is okay, so you could move on or not. And he goes home and the next day he comes to tell you he couldn't do it. Okay, he couldn't do it. So how do you move on then? And the thing has to do with time. Okay, you are given a particular scope to cover within a limited time. Let's say in a term or in a year and that kind of thing. So the child is not responding to the assessment you have given well. That will make it really difficult for you to tell if he's coping with the way you are teaching or not. And that is the side of students. They always see teachers as sometimes wicked people who give difficult assignments. Okay, if you give challenging assignment to them, they see it to be the teacher is being difficult, he's being wicked to us. So you give shorthand questions to them to answer, and they think, you are doing best. But those will not take them anywhere. Okay, so that is really a challenge. Then on the part of the parents, in fact, it has the teachers teach. I go to class, I teach, I give assignments, then I let my students go home. Then the next day, I expect them to come back with responses. The parent is at home. On the other side, I am expecting that if the child goes home, the parent should say, okay, what did you learn? How did it go with you today at school? What is your assignment, if any? Okay, so sit down, do your assignment after going through some home basic chores. Okay, sit down and do your reading. And the parent doesn't do that. He leaves the child to his own chances. And the child goes to play, and even forget to do his own work. Some of them will come to school and tell you, I forgot my book. Okay. Yes. And so who is the parent at home? Yeah, maybe we're talking about 4 or 5 years girl who is gone home to do work and came back and forgot his book. So where is the mother? What has the father done about the child coming to school? Okay, so those make the teaching work very difficult.
So a parent asking the child, have you done your homework? Do you have any homework assignment to do? That is actually the right thing.
That is actually the right thing to do. And it goes beyond that. For example, the parent is supposed to closely be with the child, and that will help the teacher to help the child identify the career opportunities available for him in the future. People should not grow up to secondary school level and they will be asked to choose career. Or for now, it even goes to the university. People will be at university, some of them will even finish, then they will now go for counseling programs to choose career. As much as I am concerned, there is nothing like choosing a career. There is something like finding your career. Your career should be what you want to do, the job you will do, which will take you to a specific destination in future. Okay, so that has to be done at the very infant stage. Parents should help teachers to identify the potentials in their children in the very early stage. So as they grow, they already know where they are going. I want to think that nobody will get to a bus station and get on board a particular vehicle when he doesn't know where he is going or where the bus is even going. All right, so before the child takes off, that is at the very infant stage, parents should collaborate with teachers to mark the child closely and identify where the child is going. That's his destiny. So doing that, it will help the child to note already that, okay, I am growing up to become a journalist, or I am growing up to become a teacher. Or somebody will say, I want to become a president. But you can't go to school and say, I want to study to become a president.
Of course.
You have to choose a particular pattern, study in that line, then it will expose you to the chance of becoming a president. Okay, so that is what we expect parents to do. But most often you realize that even when it is time for GHS 3 students to choose the courses they want to do, then the parent says, your teacher is the one teaching you, so go to him to help you choose or to choose for you. I am only the teacher, and the child spends most of the time at home and spends quite a short time with me. So the parents should help me identify the child more, and that will help the two of us to do work together to achieve a common success or goal. That is what we expect parents to do, and many more. But they leave all those things to the child and the teacher. So the child goes to school and finds a way out to run away from the teacher. The teacher is not able to know him very well as he should. So if he is to counsel the child as to what he should become in the future, you watch the face and say, okay, maybe you've been doing well in mathematics, so you can become maybe a banker. Okay, you're a good reader in class, so you should become a journalist. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so parents should play their part, help teachers to identify the uniqueness of every child, so that teachers can, on the other side, counsel the children very well to become fruitful in future.
Rightly said, rightly said. What are some of the challenges you personally you choosing teaching as a career has restricted you from doing? What are some of the things that you cannot do anymore because you are a teacher? Probably you had some hobbies, but because you're a teacher, you don't really get time to enjoy, to have your own time for yourself and all that. What are some of the challenges?
You know, one time I wanted to play football. I'm a football fan.
Okay.
I don't really play, but I enjoy watching football. So to exercise, there was a particular time I wanted to play football. And I changed myself into the football dress. And one of the students came around and said, hey, say, I see your leg today. Okay, so then you feel quite uneasy. Because it means that this child has never seen your leg. You're always on trousers. And today, because you want to play football, you have changed into a short pant, and he has seen your leg. So coming back to the question, there are lots more things that personally I can't do. I would love to do, but I can't do. Maybe having fun at the beach. I get to the beach side and my students are also at the beach. So how do I get myself half dressed and go to swim? I will feel that, no, my students are here. They will laugh at me.
They will laugh at you.
Okay, so teaching as a profession, we even choose how you walk, how you talk, the things you do, everything. Your career is supposed to actually line you the way you should go. You don't get on yourself again and do anything the way you want. So there are many things. Now, for example, haircut. I also see people with some styles of haircut, and I would love to do. But if I do that, imagine a teacher, I go to get my haircut and draw patterns in it, and I write number 3 in it like Asamaja would do. How will my students take me? Okay, so I am not on my own again because I'm a teacher.
Yeah, people look up to you.
But even though those are some restrictions, it is still good because it makes you responsible. Okay, so if you deeply think about it, it is not really a sort of you being deprived from your rights or your ways of entertaining yourself. It also keeps you in line and focused. Yeah, so
going back to what we were talking about, the parents helping and all of that. Has there been an instance where you decided that, okay, probably this is the way I see you, this student. I think you should be more serious because I can see that you can be a doctor. And then probably the parents will come in and say, no, I want my child to be probably a carpenter. Has there been an instance like that?
Lots more times.
How did you handle
so many times? And sometimes I am able to get my wish and my will done.
Okay.
Other times I am not. You know, a parent can walk to you and say, I have 2 daughters and one is a nurse and I want one to become a lawyer. Okay, so the elder one is a nurse and the next one must be a lawyer. And as a teacher, perhaps I feel that this girl cannot become a lawyer just easy like that. Looking at the trend at which the child studies and some lives the child has in him, it will be really difficult for him to become a lawyer. But to the parent, he chose just by watching the career patterns and says, I want my child to become one a nurse and the other a lawyer. All right. So that is really a challenge. And it has happened not once, so many times. Sometimes it will take me a long time to explain to the parents. Most of the parents believe in subjects. So they take the child's book, they open, flip through and say, okay, my child has been doing well in drawing, so he should go and do architecture, or he should go and do visual arts and become a songwriter or something. But it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
Okay, the way the child should go is something very unique, and you have to really study the child to find it out. Okay, so mostly parents come with their own choices. Sometimes even the children themselves choose to go some ways, and I will advise them, no, this won't help you. Having studied you for some time, it wouldn't go well. I remember there was a particular student, well, I don't want to mention the name. She wanted to become a nurse. And I saw this girl to be too passionate. He's carried by his passion too much. Okay, he responds to stimuli so very fast. And I see that you want to become a nurse and even become a doctor to him. And going that way, a nurse was supposed to be doing some dressing. Okay, sorry, but maybe dress wounds or something. A nurse will even give injections. Doctors don't usually give. So if you allow a child to say, I'm going to nursing because I am passionate, he goes there, and the first time he goes to visit Korle Bu Teaching Hospital at the mortuary, he says, no. And that day, she said she did vomited so much and came home, and she never went back to school. Okay, she can't do that one. Yeah, it happens most often.
How has technology improved techniques in teaching?
Technology, maybe specifically things like mobile phones and computers, have improved on teaching. I don't see it getting to where I expect it to be. Yeah, because I want to believe that the problems technology has brought to the teaching system is even outweighing the good part we have derived so far. Because if you talk about the good things, technology is intended to speed up our work, to help the teacher. For example, in research work, the teacher doesn't need to go and carry so many books and put around him to make research of some materials. You just go on the internet, you click it, and you get the teaching material you want to support your teaching. So in that line, it is really helping. There are very educative programs you can install on mobile phone, on laptop or computers, desktop computers, and so on. And they really help teaching. Yeah, but it is students usually use it otherwise. And that makes it very challenging for teachers.
I don't know if it is right that I ask you this, but why is it that a lot of African children or students or the youth, why do they shy away from choosing teaching as a career? They always want to be doctors. Even when you're in a classroom with a lot of students, probably, let's say, 30 students, you ask students to tell you what they want to do, and you get about 2 or 3 of them telling you that they actually want to be teachers. Yeah. And the others tend to laugh at them. Why is that? Why is that?
Is
it that the job is not lucrative?
See,
or
let me give you some 3 simple reasons. Okay. So one of them is how the teaching industry is made to look, maybe by our leaders, particularly politicians and decision makers. You watch a nurse going to work and it looks very nice, even in appearance. You look at the uniform on the nurse and you love to be in one.
Wow,
It is just a service like the teaching service. You look at the military and they are just very nice in their uniform. You can name the rest, police service and what have you. But how does a teacher look going to school? If he's a man, we expect him to be wearing long sleeve whites and then trousers and some shoes, and that is what we expect it to be. But the teacher cannot just be choosing dresses for himself all the time like that. Somebody may not choose what you expect to be decent. For example, in teaching, you don't wear designed tops, for example, with flowers or drawing patterns in them. That attracts the students to watch that more than what you are teaching. But how many teachers move from that? A lot of teachers will say, okay, African wear. So they go for things designs to wear to prove that, they are also there. Okay, and students watch them just like that, which is not in line of what it should have been. So it doesn't look nice choosing teaching in the first place. That is one. In another sense, a footballer, somebody chooses to become a footballer. He joins Ghana Black Stars, plays 2 matches within 4 years, and he's got himself a car and 2-bedroom self-contained. Okay, and he moves out and enjoys the life. Somebody becomes a custom officer, and in 2 years, he's got a car and got a house for himself, got married. And you become a teacher for 35 years in the service. You come out and your take-home salary cannot build you 3 bedrooms apartment.
Nothing at all.
So what is nice about it?
Obviously, the government isn't investing
in the
so
teachers,
much into the teaching.
Yes, you see, so the teachers feel that they don't get much. And if you are a youngster watching this, it wouldn't attract you. Everybody likes money.
Of course.
Okay,
we
even
all
those who
work
are,
for money.
are the great riches still need more.
Yeah.
And I think the last of it is that students are not made to see their career patterns. Some people are born teachers, but they end up in the banks, in the football field, at the hospitals as doctors and nurses.
The Parliament
but
House.
Yes, you see, everybody will want to become a politician so that he can make money for himself.
Yeah.
But that same person should have been in the classroom. Okay, so in that line also, the teaching is not made known to the students as a nice pattern or field of work they should have chosen at the lower age. I always want to lay emphasis on the young stage, because that is where the career of the child, the potential is discovered. So if the child is made to see that, oh, you are so good, and per how you handle your friends, you can become a teacher. You have the potential of becoming a teacher, and he grows into it. Nobody will have to tell him to choose teaching as a career.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of people don't go choose teaching. Here it has become choosing. And I told you should have been finding or discovering one's potential. Okay. So they grow up, they see those things about teaching, and it doesn't look lucrative enough. They don't feel that it is something they should be proud of to become a teacher. No. So you ask in the classroom and, hey, no. Only 1 or 2. Yeah.
What do you think the future holds for teachers in Africa?
The future holds so good a lot of things, but that can only be realized if the opinion leaders put the necessary structures in place.
Right.
If that is done, I believe teaching will become one of the industries that a lot of people will choose. And maybe the recent governments are doing quite well, because some of them will say you go to teacher training colleges and you are giving some allowances and stuff. So that is in a way motivating some people, and that will make the future look good.
Do you think, well, I personally believe that teaching is a calling.
Yeah.
Do you think it is also a calling?
Yes, teaching is a quality.
Yeah.
All right. One is born with.
It's okay.
Yes, people are born teachers. Like myself, I told you I didn't grow to choose that let me become a teacher.
Yeah.
I was already teaching before I realized that, okay, then it means I'm a teacher. So let me make myself a professional teacher. Okay, so people are born teachers. Meanwhile, others are also made teachers.
Yeah.
One may not be born a teacher, but he could be taken through vigorous training and practices, and in the end, he becomes a good teacher. Yeah, so people are born, others are made.
What's your final words to people who would want to become teachers, especially students who are probably in the teacher training or in the universities reading education? What exactly would you want to tell them to inspire them, to motivate them that the job is actually the job?
Hey, teaching is good. If you choose, if you are born a teacher, just develop it.
Okay.
And you become so, you will love it. Yeah, I have never regretted a single day because I am a teacher. Okay, I love to teach, and it is so nice. I know if one chooses to become a teacher, he will also come to love it. Teaching is good. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show to share your experience with us, and also tell us some of the challenges that your profession or your career path is facing. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, I'm very, very proud, and I'm actually proud. The fun fact is he's my teacher.
Oh,
yes. So
you want to say this one here?
Having him on the show is such a great honor. Thank you so much. And thank you too for tuning in. Don't forget the show is proudly brought to you by the Association of African Universities. And we have been discussing teaching as a career. If you miss any of the conversation, if you want to watch this If you have any questions, any suggestions, you can send them via our social media handles at AU_TV on Twitter, Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and at AUTV Official on Instagram. My name is Aja Umi, and I'll come to you next week with another exciting episode. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Diaspora Connect on AAU TV. AAU TV is the voice of higher education in Africa, and Diaspora Connect is a show that prioritizes the work of the diaspora in their home country. Today I am privileged to be hosting Dr. Kofi Bekwai. He is the assistant professor at the Medgar Evers College of CUNY. That's a lot, right? Today we are discussing retelling the history of Africa in the diaspora. There's been a lot of conversations about Africa. People are saying Africa is a dark continent, we don't have lights, we live in trees, and all sorts of things. But then the question is, who should start telling the story or the history of Africa? You have a duty, I have a duty. We have to let the story of Africa be there so that people know the real truth, not what has been put out there by other people and what they think about Africa. That is what the conversation will be about today. My name is Bridget Amadente. I'm going on a quick pause. I'll be back shortly. Do stay with me. You're welcome back from the short break. As I said earlier, this is still Diaspora Connect. You can follow the conversation on Facebook, Association of African Universities, on YouTube, Association of African Universities, and do well to leave your questions or comments under the video. We are discussing retelling the history of Africa in the diaspora, and I have with me Dr. Kofi Bekwai. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's a privilege to have you here today.
So mine, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. So we'd like to know more about you. Kindly tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, my name is Eric. Everybody calls me Kofi, but my first name is Eric Ofori Bekwai. And I have my undergraduate in history and philosophy from the University of Ghana. And then when I graduated, I worked in the educational field. I worked at Kokrobite for a while, and then I went to the United States to continue with my education. And I first did a master's in English, where I specialized more or less in post-colonial studies. Okay. And then I did a master's in history. And I went to teach, I used to teach at the College of New Rochelle. I was there for 15 years until the school, finally closed. While I was there, I pursued a doctoral degree from St. John's University. But I am now full-time with Mercy College. It's upstate New York at a place known as Dobbs Ferry. Okay. And I also teach at Medgar Medgar Evers, which is part of CUNY, also in New York City.
Okay,
yes.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, history
Yes.
is something else when you're studying it in senior high school. So 15 years doing history, that's a lot.
Yes, I've spent all my life reading.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the conversation. I'd like to know the role of contemporary Pan-Africanism in changing the narratives about Africa, because there's a lot of negative narratives. I mean, these narratives have been there even before I was born.
That is true.
Get it? What is the role of Pan-Africanism in changing these narratives?
Okay, wonderful. Yes, these narratives, if you have read Heart of Darkness by Conrad, you would see how he depicts Africa. Father Temple wrote a book about the Bantu people, who at the time, most of them had not had any formal education. So when they had formal education, they read what he had written and said, oh, this is actually not true. So you know how the narratives have happened. And then when we look at Hollywood, Hollywood has also portrayed Africa in a very negative limelight. And many people have seen the media is very powerful, and many people have taken to that concept, whatever has been sent to them. So this is the time when, thanks to technology, people are becoming aware that some of the information they had earlier were actually not true. Okay. So for some of us, we are using the classroom to, let our students know the real truth. Yes.
Okay. So what perpetuates some of these narratives? What keeps it going? Because we all know it's negative, but then it doesn't seem to change. It's as if something is driving. What keeps it going like that?
Okay, so people read about it and they pass it on to others. It's like oral history. And others would never check the facts. Whatever they receive, they think it's the truth, until they meet somebody who tells them that, look, this is not the truth. I mean, I've been teaching history since when, and I have encountered so many. About 3 weeks ago, I was teaching Sub-Saharan Africa, and I was telling my students about why people used to marry 2, men married 2 and 3. Oh, you should see the entire class.
I see.
Why is it so? Why is it no? One lady was like, no, this would never happen. And I said, wait a minute. We are looking at history and time perspective. So I had to take them through it gradually, and then they found out, oh, okay. So at that time, it was normal for a man to have 4 or 5 wives, And I told them to have more children means, you're a very important person in society. They help you on your farm, which was the means of livelihood. But they did understand, and this is how we have to. Sometimes when you say something they don't understand, and, it keeps going on, but when you have the patience to explain, then they tend to understand everything going on. I won't even tell you what happened when we discussed the eunuch, how men used to take care of queens. And I had to refer them to the Bible. And then once I referred them to the Acts of the Apostles, they was like, oh, we didn't know that. We read it and did not understand. So, so finally it began to settle in.
Yes,
But that is how we have to do it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So how should the history of Africa be told in the cultural perspective or the historical perspective?
Yes, culturally, culture is more or less a way of life. Now, I normally would wear my African clothes when I go into the classroom, or even when I'm teaching on Zoom. And people will say, oh, this is nice. And if you go to my Zoom, I have a Jinyame symbol. And then they would ask me, so what does it mean? And then I'll take the opportunity to tell them. And I think with this electronic age, we can also do more, because almost everybody has a cell phone. We can do more, portray Africa. In fact, I subscribe to AAU, and I always look at some of the things you do. Our music is also very powerful. I mean, let's talk about Jerusalem. I mean, it's such a great and powerful music. People have made various parts of it have changed, but it's still very powerful. And anytime I go on YouTube, I see it. I thought I saw AAU people also dancing to Jerusalem. I was like, wow. See, that is a message. Almost all my students know about it. Wow. Almost all my students know about Fela Nicola Pokuti because I try to tell them this is authentic African music, Afrobeat. You know, some of the topics that I bring in may not relate directly to the subject, but I'll find a way. In fact, when you look at my syllabus, I always have an African proverb on it. Wow. So students will read it and then they'll ask me, what is the meaning of this? And then I'll take my time to explain to them. So, and I think it's going on. It's like some of us who know it very well, telling those who do not know it. I think if we are able to do that, we can correct most of the miscommunication or miseducation that people in the diaspora have.
Okay, so away from the cultural way we should tell the story, the political way and the economic context, because they say Africa, we don't have money, but we sit on resources and all of that. How should the story be told on that angle?
Our late president, Osajufo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he would stand in front of an African map and he would say, wow, we are 3 times the size of the United States. We have every resource that we need, yet they say we are poor. He says we are not poor, we are just impoverished because we have all the resources. Very good students have asked me why we always have fights, people are fighting in Africa and everywhere. And being a historian and a Cold War historian, I always take them back to the Cold War. And I try to explain that it is the East and West who really fueled some of these things that we see today. And then I will ask them, how many of you like gold? And they, maybe 100% of the ladies say, oh yes, like gold. And I will say, how many of you have cell phones? How many have 2? You like your cell phones? They say yes. I said, where do you think gold and coltan come from? They said, we don't know. I said, well, Google coltan, let's see what it is. I said, oh, it comes from the Congo. I said, yes. But what is the economy of Congo right now? It has some of the best minerals, resources in Africa. But the Congo is in turmoil. There's fighting going on. So we can't really get what we need from them. You know, why is it so? Because most of the presidents are puppets being pulled, especially by the West. Look at what happened with Blood Diamond in Sierra Leone. Thankfully, for the Kimberley process, they have been able to control the diamonds that were coming, the illegal diamonds that were coming out of there. Had they not had the Kimberley process in place, you can imagine how they're going to, you know, take all the resources out. So the West also has to be blamed. Now we don't have really a very strong East side, but the Western Bloc is actually manipulating a lot of these things.
Okay, we're going on a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about oral history and how it affects the history of Africa that we know. Because we know that oral history, I'll say it, maybe you listen, you add yours, and then it keeps on going and going. So it affects the history to some extent. I know you're enjoying the conversation, but please stay with me. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back. Still discussing retelling the history of Africa in the diaspora with Dr. Eric Kofi Bepquet. All right, so we left off, and then I wanted to ask history. I know there's oral history. I did a bit of history. I've just forgotten. There's oral history, but then I know that if someone tells me something about my past or something that happened in the past, how I understand it and how I tell it to someone else affects the history or the story itself. So how do we make sure that, okay, so this is exactly what happened. No other thing influences the real story so that we can have the right stories out there?
Very good question. I don't know if you know the story of our children in a classroom. The teacher whispered something into one person's ear and said, tell the next person. And then it went wrong. By the time it came to the last person, the story had entirely changed.
I can see.
You know, so the same thing happens with oral history. Let's say my great-grandmother told my mother a story. My grandmother would tell my mother, it will keep going. Then as it keeps going, exaggeration sets in.
Exactly.
People would interpret the history in a way to suit their whims and caprices. Okay, so even if something has changed, they will add more to it. So for us as historians, one thing we do is we apply logic to whatever source we get our information. Let me ask you a question. Our first president, right? Do you know the day that he was born?
No.
Do you know you remember his name?
Yes.
What was his name?
Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
All right, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame means Saturday born, right?
Yes.
But when you look at his educational certificates, even while he was in the U.S. until he left in 1945, every degree said Francis Kofi Nkrumah.
Kofi?
Yes. So how did Kofi all of a sudden change to Kwame?
Yeah.
So this is something that historians have to inquire. He said he changed his name because he admired an uncle. Historians would ask, is that true? So you have to start asking questions, provocative questions. No, could that be the only explanation? No, why did he even drop his first name Francis in the first place? So then historians would come out with possible explanations. One could be he dropped his name to take up the African consciousness that he was going to lead. Of course, he led Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, first country to obtain independence. He probably changed his name from Kofi to Kwame because you know the affiliations that go with Kofi. Kofi Barbone.
Yeah.
If you want to lead a country and you are known as Barbone, will you be taken serious?
No.
What appellations go with Kwame?
Being a Saturday born.
Yes, we believe that God, that's
true.
We believe that God is a Saturday born person. So then you'll be taken very serious. So historians look at all these sources even before we put them out. Okay, because exaggeration certainly sets into oral traditions. But we have to apply logic, some kind of critical inquiry into information that we get. And then we are able to at least bring something convincing to the reader or to whoever is interested in the information. Yes.
Okay. That is well understood. That's very well understood. Okay, so I'll then move to the feasibility of an African-centered education. So if right now we are teaching about Africa, the history and all of that, how will an African-centered education help retell the story we really seek to retell?
Okay, so I'm a big fan of study abroad.
Okay.
In 2013, I brought a couple of students who had never actually been to Africa here. And before we left the United States to come, I took them through a lot of classes, lessons, what they should expect. And we came here, and it was really nothing new to them because I had said everything to them. Of course, we visited Cape Coast. We visited Elmina. We went to Kumasi. We went to the Du Bois Center and all places. When they went back, almost everybody wanted to come again. It's like, hey, let us go. We've heard so much about the trip and what they've learned. In fact, they learned a lot. Some they did not even know at all. Wow. Coming in, and then they drew my attention. They said, look, the soil is red. People are carrying things on their head, you know, balancing it. And because I am from here, I didn't pay attention to many things. But once they started asking, I started thinking about them. So I think study abroad is a great tool to inform people, because when they come, they see it firsthand. On the other hand, positive YouTube could help. You know, if only the message is positive, to tell people what is happening in Africa. I think people would learn from it. My son, Kwabna, is only 14, but he knows almost a lot about the continent. He's never been here. Okay. You know, I hardly speak English with him.
Wow.
Yes. And he tries to write she too. Well, if I should say Kwabna Bridget so Chiao, he writes me Geneso.
Oh, nice.
You know, so I try to portray that. My friend Edward Party, his children speak Ga. They've never been here. Maputo Sunday speak Ga. You know, we try as much as possible to let our children know about Africa. You know, for me, I haven't given my kids an English name yet.
But you have Eric.
I have, because it's a name that my parents gave me. So, you know, I can't actually reject them.
That's why you put it in the corner and you're using Kofi. I see. Okay, so let's move on to the importance of African diaspora literacy during the educational process and socialization process of black children. And in a different community, different environments like the UK or US, how are we told, like, how do we teach them to accept who they are, even in the midst of being in a different community?
Okay, so once again, for some of us in the classroom, we serve as the ambassadors. Okay. I have met, because I live in the United States, African Americans who actually, for example, I know a professor at Arizona State. Her name is Dr. Equia Duku Anochi. She's not Ghanaian. She's born in the United States. She has a Ghanaian name. She doesn't wear anything Western. Yes. Professor Molefe Kete Asante, he comes to Ghana all the time. He doesn't wear anything Western. You know, these are just two examples, and I know many of them. For the Ghanaian professor, Dr. Akwesi Brentu Asante, Akwesi Brentu Asenso, is the same. I also try to do the same. Now, there are certain churches like Trinity United Church of Christ. They have special African programs, and they seek to educate the kids about Africa all the time. Okay, so the kids grow up knowing a lot. There are many programs in schools that also encourage the children to learn more. I would say now the awareness is created now than it used to be when I first moved to the United States. Now I see more. In fact, at Mercy College, one time we had an African Day, and we had people from Senegal and other places come in and talk to students. And then some of the students have United Nations Day, where they are also exposed to Africa. But until then, you know, Africa, that I don't even want to talk about the words that they used to describe, the negative things they used to describe the continent. But now, people are becoming aware more and more of what is happening and the positive aspects of things going on in Africa. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we're trying our best, and I think we're getting there.
All right. So how can we correct the narratives? Just as you are an ambassador, I mean, you are there, you're teaching them, but then how can we correct it on a broader scale so that with time, like, all of these negative things can just fade away? It's too much.
It's too much. Okay. I think I'm doing my part.
Yes,
you do your part. I think AAU is doing its part very well. I met students from the Caribbean.
Okay.
And we were talking, and they started asking me questions about Nigerian movies. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah, we watch Nigerian movies all the time. And then they told me about what is his name? Ejako. I was amazed. You know, when we were growing up, sometimes we would watch Chinese movies. We didn't know what they were talking about, but we would plan our own narrative to explain. They were doing the same thing. It amazed me. But I'm happy that some of these movies are also in English, so they are able to understand it even more and know more about the culture and everything that goes on in Africa right now. But we have to do a lot more. We have to do a lot more. You know, if we start from the early kids, that will be fine. I know people would ask me, what is the meaning of your son's name? And then I would take the opportunity to say, Kwabna means born on a Tuesday for a male. And for a female, it's Abna, and then I'll tell them my name is Kofi and everything. And sometimes people tell me, I was born on this day, can you tell me my Ghanaian name?
Oh, okay.
And then I'll take the opportunity to tell them. And then if I know your name in class, that is how I'll be addressing you throughout the entire semester. You know, and people are happy about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So we are wrapping up here. I'd like to know what your final words will be to higher education institutions, to stakeholders, to, you know, all the African institutions there are, and what their role is in this trying to retell the story of Africa.
I think higher education, especially outside of Africa, should link up with higher education on the continent. You know, in 2016, I was on sabbatical at Legon here, and I did some work for AAU too. And the students told me that my teaching style was entirely different. And I guess we still have these conservative ideas of teaching, which it's a far cry from what I was introduced to in the United States. For instance, when I went to the United States, my professor came in, he was wearing jeans, he sat on the desk, and I said, what is that? You know, but eventually, as I started reading John Dewey and all those people, you know, Paula Freire, and then I understood why. Imagine I went to Legon. We had a room for exam. You know, you go and you sit in that room, 3 sections, answer 5, 3 hours. I went there and they said, take-home exam. I said, what is take-home exam? You mean I should take this home and write? Why would I fail? You know, so I think if there is that cooperation between, you know, those in the diaspora and some of higher education here, I think it will bridge a lot of the gaps. You know, we learn from each other. And, you know, the right washes the left, the left washes the right, and then together, as the Legon motto say, integri procedamus, together we forge ahead for a better Africa and Africa relations.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bridget.
It was great having you on the show today.
I'm
Sure
honored.
now we can retell the story and retell it well.
Yes.
And I've learned a lot about oral tradition. I'll try not to forget my history again.
Good.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. We discussed retelling the history of Africa in the diaspora, and Dr. Kofi Bekwing has done justice to it. I know you enjoyed the conversation. Keep watching AAU TV. My name is Bridget Amadente.
Are you an institution or individual? Do you intend to organize a memorable event to be archived for future reference? Then look no further than AAU Studios, because It's your best bet with our spacious studio and state-of-the-art media equipment such as 4K Panasonic video cameras, KinoFlow lights, assorted microphones, live streaming equipment, among others. You are sure to get the best of productions. Visit us at Trinity Avenue, East Legon, adjacent the National Accreditation Board, or contact the AAU studios via the following email addresses: info@aau.org, AAUTV@aau.org, or ransford@aau.org. Alternatively, you can call us on +233 244 736280.
Good day, Africa. This is Event Update on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. Event Update is all about information on upcoming higher education events and scholarship opportunities in Africa. And it is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. My name is Isabella Teta Hinapwa.
Moi, c'est Imelda Amuji.
The Continental Education Strategy for Africa, Higher Education Series, is inviting proposals from African and diaspora academics, scholars, recent graduates, and development practitioners for original essays to contribute to this volume on research and graduate studies in African higher education system. The topic should be one of these: Introduction, Research and Graduate Studies in Post-Pandemic Africa. Building research collaboration, cooperation and networking in Africa. Future of research funding in Africa. Governance and capacity building for graduate studies in African universities. Research for ICT development in Africa. Africa's research needs and challenges of doing research in Africa, and many more. The series seeks to systematically develop evidence-based information through a comprehensive framework of collaborative scholarly and professional participation with clear consequences for strategy, dialogue, and actions from a continental viewpoint, driven by the African Union's Agenda 2063 Blueprint Compass. Proposals should include 200 words abstracts focused on a chosen topic, a 2-page outline of the chapter, and description of what you will cover, a recent CV that clearly indicates your country of origin and residence, and a list of your main publications. Interested authors are to submit their proposal before 20th April 2021, and for more information, email cesaresearchbook@gmail.com.
La Continental Education Strategy for Africa Higher Education Series invite les propositions des universitaires africains et diasporiens, des universitaires, des diplômés récents et des participants du développement pour des saisies originaux afin de contribuer à ce volume sur la recherche et les études supérieures dans le système d'enseignement supérieur en Afrique. Le sujet devrait en être en introduction, recherche et études supérieures en Afrique post-pandémique, bâtir la collaboration, la coopération et la mise en réseau de la recherche en Afrique, l'avenir du financement de la recherche en Afrique et aussi la gouvernance et renforcement des capacités pour les études supérieures dans les universités africaines. Recherche pour le développement des TIC en Afrique et aussi besoin de recherche en Afrique et défis de faire de la recherche en Afrique et bien d'autres. La série vise à développer systématiquement des informations factuelles à travers un cadre complet de participation universitaire et professionnelle, collaborative avec des conséquences claires pour la stratégie, le dialogue et les actions d'un point de vue continental, pilotée par la boussole imprimée de l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine. Les propositions doivent inclure un résumé de 200 mots axés sur le sujet choisi, un aperçu de 2 pages de chapitre et une description de ce que vous couvriez. Un CV récent qui indique clairement votre pays d'origine et de la résidence et répertoire vos publications principales. Les auteurs intéressés doivent soumettre leurs propositions avant le 20 avril 2021. Pour plus d'informations par email, envoyez à cessaresearchbook@gmail.com.
The Rotary Peace Fellowship is pleased to announce that application for the fully funded fellowship is open for dedicated leaders from around the world to study at one of their peace centers. The Rotary Peace Centers program strengthens the potential of peace and development professionals or practitioners through academic preparation, practice, and global networking opportunities to become skilled and successful catalysts for peace. Interested candidates must be proficient in English, have a bachelor's degree, a strong commitment to cross-cultural understanding, potential for leadership, and must have at least 3 years of full-time work experience in peace or development. Applicants are to submit their online application to the Rotary Foundation before 15th May 2021. Visit www.rotary.org for more information.
Rotary Peace Fellowship est heureuse d'annoncer que la demande de bourse entièrement financée est ouverte aux dirigeants dévoués du monde entier pour étudier dans l'un de leurs centres de paix. Le programme des centres de paix rotatifs renforce le potentiel des professionnels ou des participants de la paix et du développement grâce à la préparation académique, à la pratique et aux opportunités de réseautage mondial pour devenir des catalyseurs qualifiés et efficaces pour la paix. Les candidats intéressés doivent être compétents en anglais, avoir un baccalauréat, un engagement fort envers la compréhension interculturelle, un potentiel de leadership et doit avoir au moins 3 ans d'expérience de travail à temps plein en paix ou en développement. Les candidats doivent soumettre leur candidature en ligne à la Fondation rotative avant le 15 mai 2021. Visitez le www.rotary.org pour plus d'informations.
Applications for the World Bank Robert McNamara Fellowship Program, RSMFP, is open to inspire development economics researchers from developing countries with World Bank research economists, creating unique opportunities for the fellows to participate in rigorous policy-relevant research. Applicants will have a unique opportunity opportunity to widen their perspective on potential development questions and how their research can address challenges in the developing countries. To be eligible, applicants must be nationals of World Bank WBG member countries, graduates of MA level studies, not more than 35 years of age, and must be available to relocate to Washington, D.C. for the duration of the fellowship. Interested applicants should submit a resume, statement of purpose in PDF file, contact of at least one academic reference, and writing sample. This application is open till 30th April 2021. And for more information, email rsm_fellowships@worldbank.org.
Les candidatures au programme de bourse Robert M.C. Namara de la Banque mondiale sont ouvertes pour inspirer les chercheurs en économie du développement des pays et développement, les économistes de la recherche de la Banque mondiale, créant des opportunités uniques pour les boursiers de participer à des recherches rigoureuses, pertinentes pour les politiques. Les candidats auront une occasion unique d'élargir leur point de vue sur les questions de développement potentiel et comment leurs recherches peuvent relever des défis dans le monde en développement. Pour être éligibles, les candidats doivent être des ressortissants des pays membres du GBM, de la Banque mondiale, des diplômés des études du niveau MA, âgés de plus de 35 ans et doivent être disponibles pour déménager à Washington, D.C. pendant la durée de la bourse. Les candidats intéressés doivent soumettre un curriculum vitae, une déclaration d'intention dans un fichier PDF, un contact avec au moins une référence académique et un échantillon écrit. L'application est ouverte jusqu'au 30 avril 2021 et pour plus d'informations, par email envoyé à rsm-fellowships@worldbank.org.
The World Conference on Research in Teaching and Education is calling for paper for the third World Conference on Research in Teaching and Education, which is scheduled from 23rd to 25th April 2021. This conference seeks to provide an international platform for the academicians, researchers, managers, industrial participants, and students to share their research findings with global experts. Interested authors are to submit their paper online via www.worldte.org/online submission. And for more information, contact info@worldte.org or visit www.worldte.org.
La conférence mondiale sur la recherche dans l'enseignement et l'éducation appelle à un document pour la 3e conférence mondiale sur la recherche dans l'enseignement et l'éducation qui est prévue du 23 au 25 avril 2021. Cette conférence vise à fournir une plateforme internationale aux académiciens, chercheurs, gestionnaires, participants industriels et étudiants pour partager leurs recherches avec des experts mondiaux. Les auteurs intéressés doivent soumettre leur article en ligne via www.worldte.org/online submission. Pour plus d'informations, contactez info@worldte.org ou visitez le www.worldte.org.
Applications for the Mandela Rhodes Foundation MRF Postgraduate Scholarships 2022 is open for young Africans to study in South Africa. The foundation offers young leaders from across the African continent a chance to become part of Nelson Mandela's legacy of transformative impact. It also provides a once-in-a-lifetime platform for professional advancement through a coveted postgraduate scholarship and leadership development initiative for those who wish to use their talents to help Africa. Interested scholars should be between the ages of 20 and 29, citizen of any African country, and have a first degree with above average academic results. Applicants should apply online and upload needed documents, essays, and recommendation letters before 20th April 2021. Visit www.mandelarhodes.org/scholarship for more information.
Candidature à la bourse d'études supérieures 2021 de la Fondation Mandela Rhodes pour les jeunes Africains à étudier en Afrique du Sud. La Fondation offre aux jeunes leaders de tout le continent africain une chance de faire partir de l'héritage d'impact transformateur de Nelson Mandela. Il fournit également une plateforme unique pour l'avancement professionnel grâce à une initiative convoitée de bourses d'études supérieures et de la développement du leadership pour ceux qui souhaitent utiliser leurs talents pour aider l'Afrique. Les universitaires intéressés devraient être âgés de 20 à 29 ans, citoyens de tous les pays africains et avoir un premier diplôme avec le résultat académique supérieur à la moyenne. Les candidats doivent postuler en ligne et télécharger les documents, essais et lettres de recommandation nécessaires avant le 20 avril 2021. Visitez le www.mandelarose.org/scholarships pour plus d'informations.
That is all for today's update. Events Update is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. Please follow us on our social media platforms at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, AAUTV_African Universities on Twitter, and AAU Official on Instagram. You can also visit our dedicated website at tv.aau.org for more of Events Update. My name is Isabella Tisahinakwa.
Je suis Imelda Amoudi.
It's a little remote, very far inside in China, all right? In that place, they didn't have much contact with the rest of the world, so they did things their own way. For instance, they really loved their goats, okay? So they would never eat goat meat, okay? They want to take milk, okay? Never eat goat meat. And they loved them so much, they actually would put them inside their houses. So they kind of sleep with them. They tie them in their beds, right, at night, okay? Very good. During the day, they untie, they take them to the field. In the evening, they bring them back, okay? Now, it just happened one time they forgot. You know, sometimes people forget things. They forgot to untie them from the beds. They went to the farm, and they left the children. And you know what children do when you leave them? They play. Sometimes they play with fire, you see? So this time they played with fire. And what happened? The houses burned up, right? And the goats inside also burned. Now, when they came, they were so distraught. I mean, these goats, now we can't get milk, and we don't eat goat meat. But you know, it requires one leader sometimes to just make a difference. So one of them said, you know what? Why don't I just try, and then we'll see what happens to me. If it's okay, we can now start eating goat meat. Very good. So he tried, and wow, it was yummy, it was beautiful. You know, barbecue, eh? Right? Right? And so he said, it's good we eat goat meat. So they started eating goat meat. Trouble is how to do it. Anytime they would want to eat a goat, they would pick one, put it inside the house, tie it into a bed, and burn down the house. So when we want to learn, we learn comprehensive and complete, isn't it? Let's do that let's do that as we look at how to learn with cases. academics, there's something interesting. If you want to spend time defining things, the amount of time we have here in Ghana is not enough just to define cases. So what we do is always good to go by a working definition, enough for us to move on. And in the case of a case, we want to see it as what? A comprehensive story of a real situation, a decision, event, managerial process. So it is specific but comprehensive story, and one in which we want our participants or our students to take a position, but there's a possibility the position may be different from others, and that becomes the process of learning. Please notice real situation. Let me explain that sometimes you can use fictitious cases, but a fictitious case should be written in a way it depicts a real life situation, a simulation of a real life situation. Otherwise, when participants know it is fake, it is not real, they don't immerse themselves as deep as they would if it was real. Of course, it contains data and information. So it's not just a story, it has data, information that will lead to some analysis, sometimes a quantitative analysis, sometimes a qualitative analysis, sometimes a combination. One thing I like about choice to be made, so that people will be prepared to defend the decisions they are making. What is the purpose of this? The purpose is that we create an environment in which participants can experiment, can try out something in a safe environment called classroom. It is the same thing we do in physical and biological sciences. We have a laboratory, okay, where we can try out things. That's what we are doing. And of course, we simulate real-world experience. It's good that a case involves proper preparation, clarity about learning objectives, structuring discussions so that we can guide participants where we want them to go, clarity about what questions they are timing, and clarity about the audience. Two kinds of audience I would have: academic participants, the normal students, graduates, and also executive participants. These are practitioners. You'll notice that the interests are different, and even the participation is also different. So knowing their background, their education, their experience, and gender are very important things. To make sure the case works out well, we need to have a plan, beginning with learning outcomes. We have been doing that. Getting to know the topic or the topics, the reading material, the case to be used, the exercises. In other words, what activities will be done where, so that a case therefore fits in one of the activities. So topic 5, one of the activity is case such and such. So for us to do good case, we need to have prepared that. Normally what I will do when I'm using case, I give my students the course outline about a month before. And in that course outline, there is the list of cases to do and the time when we do which case and what activities we do in the case. That tells you there's plenty of pre-class preparation. Of course, clarity about the objectives, the expectation of participants. And another important thing is the consequences. You've told me that some of you use cases. What is the consequence of participation when somebody participates or does not participate? Do we evaluate them? In other words, is there a reward for participation? Is class participation the case, right? So selection of the case therefore becomes important. There are many kinds of cases. We can have a simple case, what you call a caselet. We can have complex case. A complex one will be one with complexity of presentation, where there's a lot of data inside the morals there. And you've got to swim across through to pick the right information. Conceptual complexity and analytical complexity. It's also good to have in mind the idea about post-class activities, including resources, okay, like internet these days. We talk about Internet of Things with very many positive and sometimes negative. I don't know whether you have noticed. Anytime you go to class these days to teach a topic, on average, the first thing the students do is to Google the topic and the slides you're using. The moment they get them, you become irrelevant. Yes. Isn't it? All right? And what they do after that, they start sending each other WhatsApp message. His notes are here. So from there on, they start analyzing you, the way you are dressed, the way you are talking. They are not listening to you anymore. Okay? And perhaps you may want to ask, is that because of the method we are using? Because if the method is just going through the notes, I could as well get those notes elsewhere. That's why I want to finish this part very quickly before you Google. We want to design activities in class to achieve the overarching plan. We do this by developing right questions. We ask questions in case methods. Because people are prepared. You gave them case to read before, the material before. So now we ask questions to describe situation, to identify what the causes of actions are, to choose the causes of action, but remembering choices have got what? Consequences. To make them prepare themselves for the consequences so that they can select. But the selection here is not maximizing as we do in mathematical sciences. It is more of satisficing, because these are usually managerial issues. Managerial issues have both quantitative, qualitative, social, and all those kind of things. So you're looking for the best under the circumstance. So that if the circumstance change, it is possible the best may also what? Change. And then, of course, we ask ourselves about generalization. So this is what we conclude here. Would it work all the time? And the summary. So the questions will be designed, and you will see in a short while, asking people to create discussion, get information, draw attention to important issues, induce debate among students. Right? Would you agree with that position? And sometimes it comes spontaneous that students start reacting to each other, responding to each other. Sometimes you clarify previous positions a student had taken. So questions like, but you have told me that earlier on. That's why noticing your students and what they're saying is very important, so that you know them when they change their positions. By the way, changing of position is very good. I see it as one of the best learning experience. One of the things sometimes I do is to ask students to vote, and I put the records on the board. Yes, no, we have this number, this number. Then we discuss, then I ask them to vote again. And then you notice the numbers now have changed. We keep changing. Sometimes there is no, or there is no yes. And then you use debate in a different way. This is the beauty. Okay? So pushing students to support their claims. In other words, we can say, in the words of Ronald from Harvard Business School, that case method is the art of asking the right question of the right student at the right time and in the right way. It's good to know that in the case method, there is a science of how learning accumulates or is generated. First is learning at individual level. What does that involve? Remember what I told you, giving the students the course outline before, the expectation before, the activities before. They do on their own. In this case, they read the case and answer questions. So this is the first level individual preparation. There they learn to master the concept, they learn to take position, and they prepare to present, to defend, and argue about their position. That's the first level. It's unlikely they will know everything at that level. Because there's something unique that's an assumption about case method. Whenever you're meeting participants, they all come with some knowledge they have acquired before, correct? They have experiences, they have positions they have acquired before. And this is the ones you want to extract and exchange them so that they may carry on their positions and the knowledge they had, or they may question, challenge, and change their position, and that's how knowledge comes. In the second level is small group discussion. This is challenging because they are first of all surprised that some people have got different positions from theirs, and that's what you want. You want to extract that so that they can get a way of challenging themselves. Then they have to know how to manage group synergy, how to negotiate. Look here, your position is, my position is, what is the common ground? What is the areas of difference? What ought to be done here? And of course, that builds a way of argumentation. Then we come to the plenary, a hall like this, where we all now come to discuss together what knowledge you have accumulated. Please notice, by the time they come here, the only thing you have done is to give them activities. You have not even spoken anything. And then when you come here, what do? You ask questions. Because now they are able to answer. They have taken positions. But then they have to develop science of or ability to do critical thinking. Because this is where you challenge them on the position they have taken. So they must have critically thought, what is my response and why? Okay? And of course they have to trust their own guts. Because you cannot keep changing every time people are changing. You've got to have a position. But the position must be defended by some basis. Okay? And of course you develop your own ammunition. How do I attack other people's position? Of course in a way that we maintain good relation. And how do I defend my own position? You know what? I think I have talked too much. It is time to start acting. Right? So, I have a case here. Assistant Professor Graham and Ms. McCollum. Let's take a few minutes to do. Yeah, you're getting a copy each. Everybody's getting a copy. Please pass the table on. Let's go to the plenary now, and please, before I get there, feel free towards the end to ask any question about what I was doing where, all right? So that we can argue, okay? So let's look at Professor Graham. What situation is he facing at the end of the class? What is he facing? You can raise up your hand if you want to get a mic, and somebody will help me distribute the mic. Look is around. Yes? Peter, yes, please go ahead. What situation is he facing?
The situation Dr. Graham faced was how to successfully use case study to teach his students, and also stick to the conviction that will allow students to discover learning for themselves, because students are actually capable of learning. So you need to give them the chance to discover knowledge for themselves. He was also anxious with time, considering that he looked at the clock and it was just 10 minutes to time. And there was this high propensity of also thinking that, oh, the choice of case study will actually towards the goal that he wanted to achieve at the end of the lesson.
Was he worried about the choice of the case method, or the fact that a whole 80 adults, mature, reasonable people have not crashed the case?
The second one.
The second one. Yes. Tell me about Professor Graham. What kind of person is he? How do you describe him? One? Any character what you want? Liberal?
Intimidating.
Intimidating? Okay. Keep going.
Progressive.
Keep going. Progressive. Progressive. Keep going. Can we agree on something? If you want to say something, raise up your hand, and we'll give you a chance to say, because we all want to hear what you say, and when you raise up your hand, I will check around, see the number of people who want, and we will be talking in that order. Is that good? So if you want to say something now, please raise up your hand, and we shall count. I think I want one hand up. Please go ahead, and second one, go ahead.
So I think Dr. Graham Professor Graham is a good professor in terms of how he helped Janet show her knowledge and to share that. That said, I have a problem with the manner in which he helped her do what she did. At some point in time, the girl was even beginning to question herself.
Allow me to stop there.
Okay.
The question is not just like a minute. How would you describe him in one or two words?
I am trying to, okay, so
In one or two words.
Dictatorially progressive. Yeah, so I'm trying to explain those words I combined.
Okay, very good. Dictatorial progressive.
I would say that he's also quite subjective in his choice of the case study because it seemed to be
Subjective in the choice. Very good. Keep going. One or two words. How do you describe him? Anything else about him?
He's a Marxist.
Is that? Please raise up your hand so that we give you the mic so that we can hear you. Go ahead.
He is a Marxist.
A Marxist, okay. Please go ahead. What kind of person? Yeah, sorry.
very time conscious.
Very time conscious. Keep going. Some people don't agree with that. With one or two words to describe him. At the back there.
He appreciates good work.
He appreciates good work, okay? Keep going, what you see. One or two.
Is an impatient person.
Impatient person, keep going.
He's observant.
Yes, observant, keep going. Keep going. Keep going as you tell. I hope you are also reflecting on yourself as you're telling me all these things. Please take the mic.
It doesn't involve students in his teaching method.
Okay, well.
Focusing only on one student.
Focusing only on one student? Somebody doesn't agree? Go ahead.
Yes, because I thought the whole class was about the students were the ones interacting with each other.
I think he's appreciative.
He allowed the students to have more time. The whole 1 hour, 10 minutes was for the students.
Very well. 1 hour, 10 minutes was for students. Please go ahead.
He's appreciative.
Appreciative? Of what? Okay, keep going. If you disagree, just raise up your hand.
He's a risk taker.
He's a risk taker. Very good. Yes. Risk taker. Keep going.
He had difficulty managing time.
Difficulty managing time.
Straight jacket.
Straight jacket.
No, he's flexible. He's flexible.
Yeah, he gave the student who was, among the least, the opportunity to answer. Some teachers will not even do that.
I think he didn't believe much in his students.
He didn't believe?
Yeah, he didn't believe in them.
Keep going.
He's innovative.
Innovative.
Oh, no, I am Professor Graham. So let's end it. I am Professor Graham. Flexible and risk taker and progressive. Trying not to be dictatorial, whatever the word is. Too liberal, maybe. Oh, but the students, it's all about the students, giving them the time to speak. And even if they're going wrong, until that one, it's okay. It's okay.
All right. I think each one of us have got an idea of how and what Graham is. Please notice also, is he experienced or starting to learn?
He's new. Inexperienced.
Now, please notice, what is his title? Assistant Professor. How many years of experience?
2.
2 years. This is the second year of teaching, correct? Who is he teaching?
Colleagues.
Who is he teaching? Is the postgraduate course made up of who? Managers. Very good. He does trade people, correct? And what subject is he teaching? Quantitative analysis. Pay attention there a little bit. Pay attention there a little bit. Quantitative analysis, is it the kind of course that students are always excited about?
No.
They evaluate you negatively even before you say good morning.
Yes.
Is it important to know the nature of the subject and the nature of the student?
Yes.
Does that determine the style you use to teach in class?
Yes.
That's it. Very good. So we have managers. They are experienced, maybe even older than Graham himself.
Yes, absolutely.
Teaching them about numbers and decision making. It's not just numbers and decision making. Very good. So these students who are experienced, they are not undergraduates, they are graduates. So they have past degree.
Yes.
Why is it that they have not cracked it almost to time, 10 minutes remaining? Why is it they didn't get it? They don't know?
I'm not sure if they read the material.
It could be if they were given the chance or the suggestion from the lecturer for them to have group discussion before class. They could have cracked it.
Yeah, I think that being workers, they may not have even looked at the work.
Being workers, they may not have looked at the work.
Yes.
Why would they have not looked at it?
Because they are workers.
Because they don't have sufficient time.
They don't have the time, yes.
That's what we wanted to say.
I don't think it's because they wouldn't have made the time. I think it's because they are workers. They were trying to work from their experience, what they remember, which is why it is the inexperienced person who engaged the material and solved the problem.
So they are trying to answer from their experiences rather than from reading.
Yeah.
Okay?
I also see that, he had not prepared very well for the class. Because here there's a phrase, he had not foreseen that 80 intelligent persons might.
Well, I think that the students were actually expecting, the usual thing. And that is sit down and wait for him to dish out all the information as usual. So bringing up a new method was quite, they were taken aback.
Very well, they were taken aback. Yes. Keep going. Yes.
Okay, I think there was no case for pre-class preparation. He did not introduce maybe the style or the methodology or whatever.
There was no adequate pre-class preparation. Yes. Very good. Keep going. Is there somebody up there saying?
Yes. I think the students were just waiting for the assistant professor to spoon feed them.
Hey, slowly. Let me kind to the student a little bit. Had they provided the answers?
No.
They had. They had provided what they got was correct. And what you get was wrong. And by the way, do they know it is wrong so far? No. You have the mic there. You want to say something? All right. So a whole 80.
So we are still taking feedback from our participants, and we are privileged to have one of our professors from the University of Ghana, and he is from the Geography Department, Professor Nikwe, Dr. Nikwe, and we want to take some few updates from him. What has been his aha moment throughout PEDAL? You're welcome to AU Television, sir.
Thank you. Good to be on with you.
So for how long have you been teaching the university?
Well, I've been teaching there for the past 6 years, so it's been quite a while being in this position.
And I believe you've been going through a lot of trainings and or some kind of capacity building in teaching and learning already.
Absolutely. I've been part of the problem-based learning program under the BSU 1, which was using, was also seeking to improve pedagogy and improve student learning, but the approach is to use a problem-based approach. So you identify problems and then, help students to decipher and then come up with solutions. So that was the approach. A good way to do this, because the semester is usually very short. The program was such that we recorded videos of the lectures that we had, so that we gave that to students ahead of time. And what it meant was that we didn't come to classroom to then, lecture again. The students already have the material. So we would have enough time in the 2 hours to then raise issues and questions and cover more material. So that was that. And I went through that, and I've tried to implement it somewhat, but it hasn't been successful to the extent that I would have wanted it.
All right. So what makes PEDAL different? This is the 5th day, so I believe that you've been through the session for 5 days now. What is different for you?
Some of the things are the same, but what is different is, for example, I have had this course outline the whole time that I've been using to teach. And I just came to realize that it wasn't properly aligned in terms of how the course objectives, the learning outcomes, the material, and then the assessment will connect to make for, and the references. Yeah, I've also come to learn about gender sensitivity, so that even in, developing reading materials, you have to be sensitive to gender. Makes writers that are female and those that are males be accommodative to female students, be a bit flexible, and generally be sensitive to their presence in the class and their particular needs that would then enhance their learning and participation in the class. So that has been a very useful aspect of being here.
So what will happen differently in your classroom right after this training?
Right after, my course outline at least will reflect, what I have come to learn here. I am already developing the new course outline for the next semester to align the objectives and the goals and the assessment and so on. So that will change immediately. And then the gender sensitivity, that is also going to change. It's a low-hanging fruit that can easily be taken on and applied to the class.
So what is your general impression of the PEDAL training happening in our universities in Africa?
I think it's innovative. We have been accused in academia of producing students that are not that cannot be absorbed by industry. So I think this brings a new reality to us as lecturers, to not just teach theory, but also teach skills that are lifelong, that can be applied in different endeavors. And so hopefully with this training, we might be making efforts towards, bridging that gap between academia and industry.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Dr. Nukwe. We will still follow up on you to find out what you are doing at the University of Ghana. Thank you so much. Great. So we just spoke with Dr. Nukwe, and he is from the Geography Department, University of Ghana. And one key thing he's taking home is that he's going to align his course outlines, finds out, and also ensures that the objectives, the reference material, materials, everything are aligned to improve teaching and learning, and that is very key. Keep watching our interview sessions.
And welcome to the special edition of the AAU TV News, which brings you a much more comprehensive news on social matters and current trends in society. Today on this episode, we are bringing you a more comprehensive breakdown on COVID-19 and sales in the informal sector. My name is Lydia Nyame. With me are
Jimai Madaladem Duchi.
And my name is Ajiman Ochodako, and I'm glad you're joining us on this special edition. No go anywhere, we'll bring you more of the news after the short break.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Work at home, stay at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap and running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
You're welcome back from the break, and in this episode we are bringing you a comprehensive breakdown on COVID-19 and sales in the informal sector. Do have a look. March 15th, after the invasion of the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, the people of Ghana and the nation has suffered a number of discomforting situations across the various sectors of the country, especially the informal sector, which is the largest productive sector in Ghana. Right into the center of Accra, the AAU TV News team brings you the views of some traders at the Mokola Shopping Center on their experience with COVID-19 and sales.
We were looking forward to a much better condition in business, but honestly, checking your accounts after a long day's work, we can see that things are not so well. Considering the Christmas holidays last year, business was a bit well, but after that, especially this year, things have been very difficult. COVID-19 has really affected business, but we believe things will get better soon. I am also of the view that the restricting protocols that came with the COVID-19 pandemic have driven away customers with fear from coming to trade with us. Now we find many of them trading online since they want to keep safe, and we are aware of this transition. However, we understand the trend of buying and selling these days, mostly online, and we are making plans to join our customers on these online platforms like Instagram, where we can paste our products and they will see and buy. The only demerit here is that when customers come here, they will be able to see other products they will be interested in to buy, but only when online, they can only buy what they see, which we think affects business the more.
The market was doing well some time ago, but now, with COVID-19, everything has gone bad. This is because people of Ghana have been advised to stay home if they do not have anything important to do outside. And as market women, we just come and sit here hoping to sell something, but we get no one buying. Those other times before COVID-19 came, we were selling all right. But now COVID-19 is here and we are struggling with sales over here in the market. And we are unable to also take care of our families.
COVID-19 has made it difficult for customers to visit the marketplace because they are afraid they may be infected with the virus, and due to this, we are unable to make any steady sales here in the market. Somewhere last year, people were not used to wearing their face masks, but this year we find many people putting on their nose mask. But we as traders in the marketplace, the precautionary measures of COVID-19 has made face masks. But this year we find many people putting on their nose mask. But we as traders in the marketplace, the precautionary measures of COVID-19 has made things very difficult.
The COVID-19 pandemic is the main reason why our sales in the market have fallen. I'm sure that customers have no choice to stay at home in order to protect themselves to the expense of the business of the market women. I think the President Nana Addo has done a great job since the invasion of the pandemic, and we hope he takes us out of this as he has promised.
Well, there we have candid concerns coming from traders at the Accra Mokola Shopping Center. But I want to find out clearly, these traders have expressed concerns that COVID has cost them a lot in terms of sales. But to what extent would you say COVID has affected sales?
Well, I would want to say that watching the video, we saw the sentiments of these traders at various points, and you could feel how disturbed they were because of the conditions we find ourselves in. We have sensitized everybody to COVID-19, and one of the most dangerous places you can even go and can easily contract COVID-19 was the marketplace, you know, because many people are there. Some don't conform to the protocols, and some few do. So it is really a danger ground if you really don't keep yourself safe. So many people have actually succumbed to staying at home and adhering to the protocols, and also using other safer means to trade, buying things online, or perhaps going to the closest shopping center than going to mainstream markets where it's quite dangerous. So basically, sales would fall, unlike many years ago where people go out there to buy. Basically, this time it's a bit low. So we're going to find sales going, and it's quite normal for them that sales have fallen.
Jemima, to what extent do you think COVID has affected sales?
To add up to what Ajaman is saying, I agree to him that, you know, people wouldn't go for, right now it's like people don't go for the cheap things, they go for the proximity of the object. So right now they find it very difficult to go to the market to purchase goods, and they look at the proximity right now, not the cheap part of the object. Yes.
You know, would you say the problem with low sales is a worldwide problem, or it's just a problem faced by a few countries in Africa, especially in Ghana?
Well, if I recall, right from last year when lockdowns became a necessary action for government in many countries, then you saw that businesses were just crashing down because we just couldn't go out there to have fun that we used to do or buy what we used to buy. We were at home. And when lockdown started, in some countries, some specific areas or recreational grounds were no-go areas. As of now, some tourist areas like beaches, restaurants, some bars don't operate. So you ask yourself, if you were somebody who just invested into a bar or a pub business, then you're going to lose out because your place is off, is banned from operation. And even those who run the beaches, you wouldn't be making sales. And some other places who, some other areas where they used to do public events, like, you know, our artists all over the world had to cancel their programs, their events, their shows. And now if you really didn't save so much money, you will be reaping the disappointment because there are no shows for now. You're doing virtual concerts and all that. So you can tell that it's obvious that the COVID-19 pandemic and its necessary protocols that came to save our lives also, on the other hand, affected businessmen and women in the economy.
You know, I would want to chip in the issue of South Korea because if you read a lot, then you'd find out that South Korea is a country that has less unemployment rate. But this unemployment rate increased hugely in 2020. Why? It's COVID-19. Because COVID comes and then some businesses are not allowed to operate. What happens if you're not allowed to operate? You definitely lose sales. Some people go to their various workplaces, but people do not come around to purchase. But I mean, who are our traders if we, the buyers, do not come to the market to purchase from them? Jemima, what do you want to add up to?
Yeah, I would say, you know, when COVID came,
it didn't only affect Ghana, but it affected the world. That is the same way the sales is also going to affect the world, because the COVID hit the world by surprise. And I know it has affected businesses. As Ajman said, it has affected sales. Some workers had to close down. Even schools had to close down. So, you know, the income wasn't coming as before the COVID. So it will automatically affect people's income, people's sales, and how goods go in and come into the country. It will also affect the economy at large.
Okay. Let me make this point that some businesses who find their sources overseas, you know, they actually import their goods and sell here. When COVID actually worsened, we had felt COVID that bad somewhere last year, March. Because the ports were closed, you know, we had our ports closed, our borders were closed, even our seaports were closed, houses were closed. Now, any means where your goods could have come in was closed. Because that area, or let's say that source, is closed. So you, the receiver here, also be closed. The little stock they had, these businessmen and women were just crossed to either sell at a high price or low. Guess what? Would you sell your remaining stock at a low price, knowing that your source wouldn't be open in any moment from now?
Not at all.
Good. So all what they had as stock was increasing. Even things we knew were cheaper were increasing. Gari, a very basic commodity that when it's an inferior good, basically, it's maybe inferior in some part of the world, depends. But in Ghana, it's an inferior good, means that when we earn more money, we don't buy more of Gari. Only when our finances are very low, we buy more of Gari economically. It plays that way. The demand for Gari is lower because it's an inferior good, but it's higher. When we have higher income, we don't go for Gari, we go for other goods. But in this case, Gari, which was an inferior good, saw an abnormal uprise in price, which was quite disheartening. Why would Gari, the inferior good, gain so much value at a very critical point of COVID where we need food to buy?
Exactly.
That was a mismatch somewhere we saw in the economy, but it told you the urgency that COVID brought to change the way market women thought about these goods.
Okay, you know, every single thing that happens in this world, in our daily lives, is definitely influenced by certain things. So I believe COVID-19 and its effect on sales is also influenced by certain things. So I want us to talk about the key influences of this particular issue that we find ourselves in.
Well, Mama, I would want us to share this on this. I want to start with this equation. Microeconomics, that a dependent variable equals an independent variable and a constant. Now, what plays out here is that whatever happens on the other side of the equation affects the dependent variable on the other side. So what are the factors here? You know, before every production or every supplier will bring goods to the market, there are things that happen. There are production inputs, we have taxes, we have income. I will say it on the part of the consumer and the part of the supplier, because it's sales right here would do both. The producer or the supplier or the vendor in that position would also rank in their production function or their economic function, basically transportation, where the goods are coming from. If they go on their own to go and transport the goods, they pay something.
Definitely.
Advertising, they have to pay because that is what keeps the goods running. Taxes, which is quite inevitable. It can increase at any time. Taxes don't fall usually in our part of the world. It increases like that because government has so much expenses and government spends more taxes. So therefore, taxes don't decrease more, but mostly increase. The taxes are part. And other factors which I would want to mention, production input basically, these things play out to affect the cost of the good, whether up or down. In these times, all of these factors have increased abnormally.
Exactly.
TNT increased because people were now the official number of people in the vehicle had to decrease somewhere last year, where we have 3 people on a row. The trotro driver wouldn't have charged the same way it was charging because when it was 4 on the seat, the fee was, let's say, 2 cities from East Legon to Shashi. But because now it's 3 on the seat, you would have to now share the cost on each person to pay more than they used to pay. That is what COVID-19 has brought. The fuel also increased because fuel price wouldn't decrease.
Exactly.
Because the world were in the hoard. The fuel you hoard it because Saudi Arabia wouldn't be selling fuel because of COVID-19. It's a shutdown anywhere. So the fuel you have had to be hoard. And when you hoard fuel, the price increase because who has fuel will charge more. That was the dire need we were in. Fuel price increases. TNT wouldn't decrease, will increase. So you saw how sales were. And who would pick a trotro from here if I know that I can't bear it? I'll walk. So sales have really been dwindling with all these times with COVID-19. Right for the transport industry, I'll bring it down to the fashion industry. You see, materials costs and all that. So basically, COVID had played into all factors, making things difficult to make the sales that you want to make on a regular day.
Exactly. You know, I would actually want to say that unemployment is equally a key influence of low sales because now people do not actually have that much money that we used to have because you get money by working. So in a case where you're staying at home and not working, definitely we assume you don't really have that much money. And when you find yourself in a situation like that as an individual, as a country, as a nation, you tend to prioritize certain things over others. So with the little money you have, you prioritize and then you tell yourself, this is of more relevance than the other. So we tend to purchase the things that are priorities to us and then we leave the others. I mean, it didn't used to be like that. At first, we used to buy everything that we needed. But now we just prioritize the one that we need the most, leaving the rest. And when it happens like that, it affects the traders a lot. Jemima?
I'll talk about the taxes that, were put on our goods. You know, automatically when the tax is high, the one who is selling would not say that, okay, let me sell it at a normal price and forget about the tax I paid on the product. The tax that was paid, the money that was used for the tax will automatically be added to the buyer's money. The buyer would have to pay for that tax on the product. So it makes, sales go high and things get expensive and, people get to, find the cheaper part of it and not to go to, the broad markets.
Exactly.
Okay, now we'll take a quick break and after the break we'll bring you more.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distance. Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Rock at home, stay at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap under running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
Welcome back from the break, and if you just joined the discussion, we are talking about COVID-19 and sales in the informal sector of Ghana. Now we'll move back to our discussion. I want to find out if there's any relation between the state of our economy now and the state of our sales.
Well, if you take the Ghanaian economy as at this moment, as at today, the budget for the year was read, like a week ago, and we saw the introduction of some new taxes, which some industries didn't really find that favorable. For example, the banking industry didn't find a 5% levy on banks on their industry as quite favorable for them. And whatever happens in one sector ripples around to other sectors. That's what the economy is about. And these taxes go a long way to create a deadweight loss for the consumer at the end of the day, because the producer will do as much as possible to share the cost with the consumer.
Exactly.
And now COVID-19 is still in existence. The nature of sales in our economy has changed. Now companies are basically living on their reserves, not the profits they are making. Because which company would boast of making the profit they used to make many years ago between last year and this year? I know would find companies lamenting bitterly because of the way sales went this year and last year, or last year and this year. For example, companies in the fast-moving consumer goods market would find things quite difficult because when they rely on from the factory to the key distributor to the vendor, and now these vendors have to close their shops down and go home, lockdown. So how then do you sell? And now you can open your shop, but you don't find people coming to your shop because of COVID-19. People are staying at home. Only few people go to the market.
They go when they have to.
Exactly. And what about buy online as well? So you find the shop owner who has taken goods worth 2,000, 3,000, selling in the shop, not able to pay. And when you go collecting your money, they tell you it's because COVID-19 people are not coming.
Exactly.
It's a good anthem to give your supplier when they come around for the money. That COVID is making sales slower. And you need them to grow.
Exactly.
How would you get your profit? So I know that it's a big strike on the FMCGs in Ghana and other retailers who are also, because if you go and retail to go and wholesale and people are still at home observing COVID-19, how do you make your sales? So it is really a big downturn in the economy, basically, with vendors and COVID-19, which is quite undeniable.
Exactly, Jemima.
I would say, the state of our economy and sales has really come down due to COVID, and it has affected our money, our state of income so much that people go to shops and nothing comes in. We could hear from an interview from the woman who was saying that she comes to sit there and then, no one comes to buy because right now there has been a policy that if you don't have anything to do outside, just stay at home. So that person will stay at home and automatically buy online because the person doesn't want to go. And online also gets it easy because it delivers to your doorstep for you to just take it and use. So it makes, those who have the shops and, are not improved with this online and are doing their local buy and sell with the face-to-face, it has made them, really get affected with the present situation of COVID.
Okay.
Let me just add that income is one of the factors in the production function.
Okay.
And if your income increases, the tendency of you buying more of a good or something or service is higher. And vice versa, it goes down, it is lower. Now, when your income increases, you now tend to look more for normal goods, which normally, when income increases, our taste or demand for normal goods increases. But when income falls, we now grow more love for inferior goods, which I put Gary in the bracket. I know some people in other parts of the world, they wouldn't agree that Gary to them isn't an inferior good, but in our country, it's in the bracket of inferior goods because we buy more of them when we have low income. COVID actually brought a lot of unemployment. I know a number of people who went redundant to COVID-19. The company couldn't keep up with their reserves and still pay them.
And the sad aspect is it isn't just something that happened in the past, it is still happening.
So
people keep losing their jobs each and every day.
It's pathetic, losing your and what happens is because there's no money to pay you.
Exactly.
So redundancies, you go home and then the company finds ways and means to pay those who they find more useful. Quite unfortunate, right? And what do you think these people will be doing with that limited income? Right now we're all living on limited income, which is not so much that we expect. So we'll now grow more taste for goods which are quite inferior because you can buy more in that condition than normal goods, which are beyond, which we buy more when we get more income. So I think that's one thing we should point out there.
Okay. Jemima did mention traders, some traders moving their stuff to online. I want to find out if the current situation we find ourselves in terms of our economy and state, brings out the need for traders to move their stuff online.
I would say it should be moved, but then not everyone will be, should I say, willing or has that educative, nature to know what goes on online and how, they are going to sell online and all that. Those people who are doing online currently, I'm sure started from somewhere. So the same way those in the market can also start from somewhere. But, some things, going to be sold online is what I look at because
selling tomatoes online, selling, those...
Tomato is a necessity. So for tomato, even if you don't move it online, people would come. That's why when I was making my submission earlier, I mentioned that now people don't just buy anything at all. They buy things that are of great relevance.
Exactly.
Tomato is something you can't live without it. But the woman who spoke, the one you were just talking about, the one who said these days people do not come to the market, and for that reason, it makes it difficult for her to even feed her kids.
Exactly.
Such a person sells stuff that can be moved online. You move your stuff online because people are not coming to the market, and that's why they are not buying. But these same people are online. So should you move your items online and add a little bit of credibility?
But I think that is if you see the credibility, how would the woman know how to how to be able to advertise very well for people to come follow her online to buy her stuff, because it takes education. You see, so I would say that such people can get educated on how to use online platforms, so that they can also take their stuff, their goods, their product online, so they can also market and sell, just like what they were doing in the face-to-face, during the face-to-face.
Okay. That is why I share the sympathy of these kind of people at the informal sector. You are talking about people in the informal sector considering moving online. We are talking about informal sector.
Yeah. I mean, I understand, but what other option do they have?
I mean, so it's a doom. I'm not spelling doom for them, but it smells like doom. Because how can they thrive online? They don't even use smartphones. These are people who have resorted to informal business, even though they have the chunk. Ghana's backbone, or say Ghana's economic backbone, relies on it because they are more. Unlike other places in the United States where the formal sector is higher than the informal sector. That is where they have decided to be. And because of their numbers, they contribute more to GDP or to the country's revenue. But the issue is, are they in the capacity to fit the trend? Are they in the capacity to use a smartphone to accept an offer and then have it delivered? That is the difficulty we are facing here. Our country's literacy rate doesn't give us the room to have to roll everybody on to that ground. That is where we are saying that it might affect the economy. In fact, our revenue will fall as a country because they contribute more. But since they are able to make the sales that they can make, then we're going to lose in revenue. And we can't do anything about it. My dean of the School of Graduate Studies at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, says something that if you really want to make money this time, then think of getting a motorbike for deliveries, because now it is order, deliver.
Exactly.
People wouldn't feel comfortable to go and buy again.
Exactly.
So if you want to invest something, invest in a motorbike. And I think that's the way to go. And I find so many restaurants in Ghana who were not used to do this. When did restaurants in Ghana start delivering food to their customers?
I mean, some had started, but it was only a few until
COVID. It was not done. You either drive there and eat or forget. Exactly. But now, they are even urging you that stay at home. We'll bring it to you.
Exactly.
That is the point. And that is how the economy... So we are keeping our restaurants surviving. What could have caused them to close was that people going to mass up there and eat. Right? And now they are saying, don't come here. Just send in your order. We'll cook it and send it to you. That brings them back to business.
Exactly.
That's the way to go.
Exactly. This leads me to ask if there's hope for our economy, if there's hope for sales, if there's hope for everything that has gone bad in this system in the subsequent months and years.
Yeah, what I just expressed was hope. We knew. I mean, there's some places that there cannot be hope unless the president lifts the ban.
What are some of these places?
We cannot do e-beaching. We can't. Because after the beach, you have to be there and swimming. And mass up. We can't do virtual swimming. Unless perhaps every Ghanaian has his pool in their house.
But that's impossible.
But we can't do e-swimming. But for when it comes to food, we can do e-food.
Exactly.
Where you can order food and then have it at home. For that industry, there was hope. 2005, a food stock of about 2,000 Ghana cedis and more. Who are you going to cook it for? If you didn't have any delivery service in tune, what would you do? You can't cook. So they lost a lot of money at the stadium where people go and watch matches. They lost a lot of money because people go to watch matches and then they cook food for them and they buy. Now people don't go and watch matches there. The stadium is empty. So who will you cook for? You can't cook for anybody. So they are losing their job over there. But in other places, other restaurants in town, they can now work on their customer base and now send a message that you can now order food, we'll send it to you. So there's hope for some parts of the industry.
Exactly.
And some parts too, there's no hope.
Jemima?
Yeah, I would say there is hope. I think I would side with Jemima that there is hope for some. There are some apps that, have been developed for strictly food, dresses, those online apps and all that. And I think, that is a step in a good direction. That makes us know that there is hope, even if, clothing shops should be closed down. We know we still have apps online that will show us what we want, and if we are interested, it is delivered to our doorstep. So in those sectors, I would say there are hope. But in the other, the market woman moving online, it's very critical, and that part would need a more push before it's.
I think for the people who belong to the informal sectors, I think the only hope they've got right now is for COVID to die out.
Exactly.
It's for things to get back to normal. And the sad thing is, I think even if things get back to normal, now people have got this ideology that I can sit in my house and still get everything I need. So I think even if COVID leaves, even if COVID is mitigated, still our informal sectors may face challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
The informal sector is one sector that's very hard to control. Because their daily bread is right from where they are.
Exactly.
They can't do anything about it. In fact, the one who sells tomatoes cannot sell tomatoes in their house because there are many people over there. The marketplace is the only place they can survive.
Yeah.
As of today, go to every marketplace and you find them there. Some wearing nose masks, some not wearing nose masks. Everybody and what they believe in. And they go and come all the time.
Yeah, they go and come.
Yeah.
That is the situation we're facing right now. If you try to stop them, you are collapsing the economy because no buying and selling for them. You don't get anything for revenue because they contribute more than the formal sectors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there we have managing a very tough situation. And I believe our leaders have been through quite a hard time because right from last year, our president was trying to curb things around, but it wasn't easy for him. What we hope is that at least a good number of Ghanaians will get vaccinated and we will see some positive light in the vaccines to save us all. Or if not for that, I hope there won't be any next spike because if the next spike comes in, it would affect us a lot.
I equally hope there wouldn't be any next spike. Now, we are almost bringing the conversation to an end, so I'll take your last and final words. I'll start with Agyemang.
Well, I would want to say that it's not been easy discussing COVID-19 and still because that is one of the most difficult things to talk about in terms of what end.
Exactly.
It's very sad because people have really done so much investment and not repaying it. Even in the formal sector.
Exactly.
We were seeing redundancies, people laid off. And the only place you can't lay somebody off is the informal sector. Because you control yourself. But in the formal sector, people were being sacked. So if you are unemployed right now due to COVID-19, I'm really sorry for the condition. And for those in the marketplaces, that is their office, that's their economy for them. And they rely on us to make a living. And if we don't go and buy, they wouldn't make the sales. And we are also keeping ourselves safe. I don't go to the market often because I don't want to get COVID. I don't want to just control COVID. So I go once in a blue moon with prayer and proper protection.
But I don't think the marketplace is as scary as
it looks.
It's always terrible. People go and come back and then they have.
Because I see these market women going to the marketplace all the time without their nose mask.
Exactly.
Only a few go with it. And you never actually hear them.
Symptomatic cases as well, so you cannot tell.
So you're telling me they've got COVID, right?
Let's try testing them and see. So, it's a very difficult thing, but in their case, if I'm keeping myself safe from getting COVID-19, that means they're not getting someone to buy their goods and services. So I'm just hoping that everything comes to normal, where we can still go back to what we used to do. And if we don't go back to what we used to do normally, may God help us in this coming in the Ghanaian economy so things get better for them as well.
Jemima, your final words?
I would say, COVID has affected sales, our economy and all that. And we are just hoping that, things will get normal, especially to those who have lost their jobs. They were not aware. It just took them by surprise due to COVID. So we are just hoping that things will get normal. If not, even if you don't return to your old job, you can get something to do because COVID has been eradicated.
Okay, that's great. And this is where we end today's discussion on COVID-19 and sales. Thank you for staying with us on today's special edition. Do expect more from us same time, same day next week. My name is Lydia Nyame.
And I am Jemima Deladem Duchi.
I am Ajimono Chudakwa, and thank you for spending time with us. Have a nice day. Bye. The Association of African Universities, AAU, Africa's apex higher education organization, invites stakeholders to its 15th quadrennial General Conference from 5th to the 8th of July 2021. The theme is the future of African higher education. The conference will be held virtually and hosted by the government of Ghana under 6 sub-themes as follows. Sub-theme 1, the future of African higher education post-COVID-19. Sub-theme 2, contributions of African higher education institutions to addressing the challenges linked to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sub-theme 3, contributions of African higher education institutions in achieving sustainable development goals. Sub-theme 4, funding of African higher education institutions in the face of unpredictable economy. Sub-theme 5, mainstreaming e-learning and the digital divide. Sub-theme 6, contributions of the diaspora to African higher education. Expected participants include ministries of higher education, academics, researchers and research organizations, regional economic communities, regional educational bodies like IUCEA, CAMES, and SARUWA, the organized private sector and captains of industry, development partners, and other education stakeholders. The AAU's 15th Quadrennial General Conference is here. To register, kindly go to the link below, and for further inquiries, please visit the website www.event.aau.org/GenCon or send an email to secgen@aau.org and copy info@aau.org. AAU, the voice of higher education in Africa.
L'Association des universités africaines, AUA, l'organisation faîtière de l'enseignement supérieur en Afrique, invite toutes les parties prenantes à sa 15e conférence générale quadriennale qui se tiendra du 5 au 8 juillet 2021. Le thème de cette conférence est l'avenir de l'enseignement supérieur africain. La conférence se tiendra virtuellement et ce sera accueilli par le gouvernement du Ghana. Elle comprend les 6 sous-thèmes principaux suivants. Sous-thème 1, l'avenir de l'enseignement supérieur africain après la COVID-19. Sous-thème 2, contribution des établissements d'enseignement supérieur africains pour le relevé des défis liés à la pandémie COVID-19. Sous-thème 3, contribution des établissements d'enseignement supérieur africains à la réalisation des objectifs de développement durable. Sous-thème 4, financement des établissements d'enseignement supérieur africains face à une économie imprévisible. Sous-thème 5, intégration de l'apprentissage en ligne et de la fracture numérique. Sous-thème 6, contribution de la diaspora à l'enseignement supérieur africain. Les participants attendus comprenant entre autres les ministères de l'enseignement supérieur, des universitaires, les chercheurs et organismes de recherche en Afrique et au-delà, les organismes éducatifs régionaux comme la IUCEA, la CAMES, la SARUWA, le secteur privé organisé et les chefs d'industrie, les partenaires de développement, agences et organisations internationales et d'autres acteurs de l'éducation. La 15e conférence générale quadriennale de l'AUA est là. Pour vous inscrire et participer, veuillez visiter la tinyurl.com AAUGC 2021. Et pour plus d'informations sur la conférence, veuillez visiter le site web event.aau.org/GenCon ou envoyer un courriel à secgen@aau.org et copier info@aau.org. L'AUA, la voie de l'enseignement supérieur en Afrique.
Last 3 days to have some really amazing discussions around the role of the diaspora in higher education and innovation in Africa. We've had a chance to talk about strengthening relationships between U.S. historically Black colleges and universities and African universities. And we know that that is going to really be key to addressing issues in the African diaspora. We've also had a chance to talk about women of African descent in higher education. What are the opportunities and the challenges for those of us who want to make our livelihood in higher education? And then the fourth session was higher education, a panacea to racism, equity, and promoting social justice. And we've had some amazing discussions there. Dr. Cornell West joined us yesterday along with Dr. Hilary Beckles, and there was a spirited discussion about what we can all do to end racism around the globe. So we've had a great 3 days, and we so appreciate the time that you have spent with us and the wonderful discussions that we've had over the last few days. For those of you who didn't have a chance, of course, because the sessions were parallel sessions, we know that you didn't have a chance to attend all of the sessions. So today, we're going to have an opportunity to hear what were some of the key points that came out of those sessions, and what are the recommendations for how we move forward. So I am going to introduce to you now the Vice President of AAU, Dr. Nicholas Nuama.
Thank you very much. Yes, you are right. We have had some interesting discussions during these past 3 days. And now we've come to the last session where we need to summarize all what has been discussed, put them in their perspective, and then see the way forward. And so I'm going to invite the rapporteurs to make their presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Anthony Rodriguez of Texas Southern University. I'm in the Mickey Leland Center of the university and the center. I am opportune to have been a rapporteur for the session number 4. And I tell criminal, but you save the life of the person who's been arrested or who's been accused. You save their life. Professor Bledsoe brought up that the approach that was given was diametrically opposed to the way it happens in the United States of America. It seems as though it works quite in reverse. There's you shoot to kill. You don't try to save the person who's been accused. That was a very important element, I think. Now, that presenter didn't get the opportunity to come back on because we had that discussion actually before our session started. Then we went into hearing from the NAACP, Mr. Johnson, and one keynote point we can say is the NAACP is not the NAACP of our grandparents. It's a very brand new organization, pressing forward to be a globally recognized organization, bringing into its fold not just in the US, but across the globe, and specifically in Africa. That was presented very well by them. I'm just speaking on they continue on day 2. We had a very racism inequity shall continue, were his words, until we address racism. And now exactly how that will be done, that wasn't said, but I'll bring that up on the second day's items. But some of the key points from him was the knowing and having understanding of history and our knowledge. Now, a very important point I need to bring up that he indicated, the question was, is it a panacea of change through the HBCUs? And I'd like to report the first day, the answer was actually no, but it can be. but the answer was it's not, but it can be. Much of the deliberations seem to center around many of the HBCUs following the format of our counterpart, the historically predominant PWIs. So there seems to be a discussion that there must be some degree of change in how we approach it. Dr. Vern Shepard from UWI, they pointed out the 3 A's, access, agility, on that line. Then there came Professor Osei. Right, Professor Osei discussed the issue of access, class position, and the misinterpretation of access and class, and using the standards of the Europeans. Dr. Bertrude gave an excellent history on her institution, and I want to say I'm going to end on day one was the key point that came out at the end was bringing forward with intention, with specific purpose, where there need to be changes. I'd like to share with you that the way day 2 began, it was really, it was like a moment of camaraderie and joining together among the presenters. And that was actually led by Dr. Cornel West. He really was an amazing person, the way he connected with everyone and caused us just to be talking with each other and just saying hello. Now, he was our first presenter, and I must admit to you, his presentation was such that it covered a multiplicity of areas, and it's most interesting, some of the things he covered, it was almost as though he connected the dots from the first day, and some of the key points he brought up from it was our ancestral traditions, whatever those might have been. He spoke very eloquently about respect, courageousness, being willing to correct each other. He spoke of equity, diversity, inclusion. He spoke of the importance of not taking our stature in academia too highly, not thinking that we are better, because he seems to brought that point forward where there might be a consideration that we have arrived. And I think he was calling upon us to recognize, no, we have not arrived. We have lots of work to do. And because we have arrived on the backs of many others that came before us. He really pressed in a venue of historical philosophy of the black person to some degree.